Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We got a lot to get into. Oh, man, we got the full Monty to get right to it. We'll talk about all the Longhorns that were taken in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Dallas Cowboys, we'll talk about their draft as well. Also, the Houston Texans will review all of the NFL news, notes, and nuggets related to the NFL Draft. Also, we'll talk NBA playoffs. The Warriors and Steph Curry with an iconic, infamous performance, if you will, in Game 7. We'll get into that. Also, we'll talk about the Heat winning Game 1 in their playoff series, so we'll get into the NBA playoffs just a little bit as well. Also, Texas baseball in action as we speak. We'll give you an update on that. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for him it's a breeze. Mike Hardball Harge, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, brother?
I'm excited to be here. It's a Monday. We got a great week ahead of us. There's so much to get into, and I'm excited about Texas Longhorn football players changing the narrative. Can it continue? And I'm going to ask my man Rod Babers about that as we speak. But let me tell you about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now College Football Hall of Fame Longhorn, Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro as always. Always a little bit sweeter after a great weekend of sports to get to. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid. We do know that the man is underpaid. He is Patrick Davis. What's going on, Patrick?
Oh, it's another week. Let's hit it.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, shout out to Lou. Lou is in the building. Lou still got the cone on. How long Lou gonna be wearing the cone?
Well, when somebody was left alone for 15 minutes, he re-injured himself. So
the same spot.
Same spot.
Okay. So,
I went out front to do a little bit of yard work, walked back in the house, and he was looking at me like, Dad, I did it again.
Hey, Lou seems to be undisciplined.
Very
undisciplined.
Very lax discipline.
Hey, what do the coaches say? I can't trust you.
Yeah.
Can't win with them.
Can't trust them on that one. So you gotta wear the cone.
Gotta wear the cone.
Gotta wear the cone. All right, you can be a part of the show. You're the heartbeat of this thing. You're the pulse of it. Specs text line's the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. We got a lot to get into. Also, the Twitterverse. Let me remind you about that. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. Do we want to give a score update on Texas?
No, we don't. Not right now.
All right.
No, we don't.
Move on to Texas football.
Conversation. Let's do that.
He's talking about he's talking about optimistic stories with Texas football because you had 5 players drafted for the Longhorns, and that is a huge leap of improvement considering where they were last year when they did not have a player drafted. We know Bijan was drafted first round, number 8 overall to the Atlanta Falcons. We talked about that. We'll get back to that conversation, but let's talk about the guys, the 4 other players that were drafted for the Longhorns. Harge, which one of these selections overall, DeMarvion Overshown to the Cowboys? Shout out to your Cowboys. Obviously, that's a big move. Rojo to the Bears is a big one. Keandre Coburn to the Chiefs, and Moro Ojomo to the Eagles. So, yeah, your Cowboys have to see him sooner or later.
Oh, my goodness.
Which one do you want to start with? Which one intrigues you the most?
Well, every time we bring it up, I would obviously be the homer. But I want to go with but I obviously want to talk about Moro Ojomo.
I like that.
The reason being is because he's somebody that came to the University of Texas at 16, 17 years old, got a chance to develop, got in trouble, got his hand slapped a little bit when he was very forthright with the media at the University of Texas, but he continued to grow as a football player. And then for him to go to the NFC East champion and NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles with that team that has pretty much every Georgia Bulldog defensive player that you could possibly find.
Is it 5 now total from that defense?
From that defense.
From
5
that
of
defense.
them. From that
From
defense
that
from
particular
2021,
defense.
where they were the best defense
Yeah.
in college football.
That's freaky.
Let alone probably history. You know what I'm saying?
They're in the conversation.
They are definitely in the conversation. For him to go to that type of team where they can get that extra level of success and support, I like what he was able to do. I'm just glad that he got his name. Because as you started going on into the draft, you was wondering, it was like, wait a minute, how is this dude not drafted yet? Because we thought he would have been one of the guys to go a little bit earlier, not necessarily the 7th round, maybe the 5th, maybe even the 4th, because of the way that he tested out and the way that people were talking about him and his youthfulness.
Yeah.
You know, he's a younger player that you can kind of mold into what you want because he does have that youth on his side. But I'm excited for him and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I agree. And, Daniel Jeremiah, I'll give you some numbers about Daniel Jeremiah and how accurate he was. We talked about him last week, how he hit on 4, I believe, of the top 10 picks in the NFL draft, his last mock draft. He actually had the Texans trade.
He did.
In that mock draft. Nobody predicted. He had the exact trade in his mock draft. So he was really accurate. He actually had Moro Ojomo as one of his steals of the draft.
Yeah.
Like the best value, I should say. I think the way he quoted it was it's best value. It had all the players ranked in terms of who had the best value picks in every round, and Moro Ojomo was his 7th round value pick. Because, no, I'm with you on that, because you're talking about a guy that can play multiple shades up front, can play inside, also play outside, had done that at Texas to a really high level, and as a fifth-year senior, ended up graduating from, the Macomb School of Business, I believe was, with a degree in finance, and he is only 21 years old.
Yeah.
That just shows you, that's a high upside guy, extremely high upside guy. And the Eagles even said they were surprised. I thought he would go before Kendrick Coburn.
I did too.
I was pretty sure I was a little surprised he did not go before Coburn, considering the high upside of a guy like Moro Ojomo, but still ends up in a great spot where he has the luxury of learning from the deepest defensive front in all of the NFL.
Yeah.
He'll have access to learn from the deepest defensive front in the NFL.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thought process, right?
So I'm saying like that. So everybody gets their own, everybody's blessed in their own way with where they end up going. But like I said, I thought he ended up going before Kendrick Coburn, maybe because teams did not exactly know where they would play him. Maybe they weren't sure if they were going to play him inside or play him outside, because at Texas, like I said, he had a little bit of time at both. I still think he's going to end up being a guy that ends up making a roster. And if not, they changed the practice squad rules so much where he's going to end up sticking with a team. They're going to end up making a project out of him if he doesn't just make the squad. They got a really deep defensive line.
Yep.
So I could see him being a practice squad project for the Philadelphia Eagles too.
That's why I say you can mold him into whatever you need him to be molded into because of that fact of his youth and the fact that he's still a player that is developing. He still has a lot of room for development and for development. And if you can put him there with that group, that I'm telling you, when I looked at the Eagles roster and what they became overnight, I was like, come on. I was more worried about Bijan Robinson being on the offensive side than what they were doing with the defensive side. And now I'm like, how are we going to move the ball?
I mean, they were already top 5 all time in sacks the season they had last year. They went to Super Bowl, and then they added Nolan Smith on the D-line, Jalen Carter on the D-line, and a guy like Ojomo. But, if you Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out his best value picks, and he's got Philadelphia with 2 of his best value picks, Moro Ojomo in the 7th round, and he's also got Philadelphia with Nolan Smith.
Oh, okay.
He said that's his best, because he had him as 13th overall in his big board. I think he went 30th. He had Moro Ojomo, he went 111th overall in his big board, and he went 249th.
Yeah. So that is great
and
value.
Like I said, Daniel Jeremiah he's
a student of the game.
Like I said, he got 4 out of the top 10, including the Texans trade. 83 of the top 100 picks in his top 100 were end up being picked. I mean, he's right now, he's probably as accurate as anybody could be.
Yeah.
And so 84% hit rate, or at least 84% of his top 150 drafted in 2022, 85% in 2021, 84% in 2020.
Wow.
So if you're looking for the most accurate of the pre-draft mock drafters, I should say, Daniel Jeremiah right now might be the top guy. Anyway, that's not. But getting back to it, he loves him some Ojomo. He's a big Ojomo fan. And what's not to love? And Ojomo, Pro Football Focus loves him too. He was a top 5. He had top 5 grade as a pass rusher and as a run defender for interior D linemen. If you looked at it among, like I said, Power 5 D linemen, that he's a guy that's been extremely productive, and I'm with you. I think they might have gotten themselves a hell of a steal, and his measurables were unbelievable at the combine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, he freaked out a lot of people because they didn't understand that he was that talented at such a young age. And I know a lot of people are like, why do you keep bringing up the age, Harsh? There's people in the league. That's important. But you don't understand what this guy has had 5 years at the University of Texas from 3 different defensive coordinators.
All these guys.
And now they're getting a chance to go to the next level where they're more than likely going to be with the same defensive coordinator unless he goes and gets a head coaching job. But he's going to learn a lot from the players that have been in the league. And now he doesn't have to play school. So now he can just go in there and work on his craft.
29 reps on the bench, was 3rd among D tackles. His broad jump was 4th among D tackles at the combine. His vertical was 2nd among D tackles. His 10-yard split was 6th among D tackles, or tied for 5th, I should say. His 40-yard dash was 7th among D tackles, but he was top 5 in bench, broad, vertical, 10-yard split at his position at the combine.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Like Howie Roseman said, I'm surprised you're here, man.
Thank you.
You want to come be an Eagle?
Thank you for falling to us.
I didn't think you was gonna be here.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. The rich seem to get richer.
Oh my goodness, and I that was the saying I was thinking that in my car all day today.
Richer, baby.
I'm like, that's what businessmen do, right? They figure out a way to make more money on top of the money that they already have. They already went to the Super Bowl just last year.
Best D line arguably in the league last year.
Yes.
And now they got better. How did that D line get better? It got better.
They got a lot of depth.
They added some generational talent somehow coming out of the draft on the D line. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not a good look for the Cowboys.
Not a good look for the Cowboys. Let's get to the Cowboys, though, because I love that DeMarvion Overshown pick for them. They end up picking DeMarvion Overshown, and he was popular with the Cowboys. We talked about this on the show a ton, how DeMarvion Overshown talked about how he interviewed with the Cowboys, and Dan Quinn told him specifically he had a plan for him, and actually was able to kind of diagram and break down that plan for DeMarvion Overshown. Now, DeMarvion Overshown didn't have any control over where he was going. But for a guy like Dan Quinn to show you a player who has been playing linebacker for now, going on his fourth year, his rookie year will be his 4th year playing the linebacker position, and for one of the top defensive minds in the NFL to say, no, I know how to use you. Yep. I know how to weaponize you. That had to be extremely flattering for DeMarvion Overshown, and then the Cowboys end up picking him in the 3rd round. And I said, he's a guy that's been a unicorn, and some coaches at one point tried in his career to kind of saw off his horn and try to turn him into some kind of show pony. And it's like, no, man, he's a unicorn. Sharpen the horn and turn it into a weapon.
And let
move
him be
him around.
Freak.
Let him be a freak. And they did that last year.
Yes, they
right?
did.
They put him on the edge. They moved him around. Let that guy work in space. Believe in positionless football. As I've told you for 10 years now, it's the future. Dan Quinn believes in positionless football. That's why he believes in DeMarvion Overshown. He's a positionless football spread baby, if you will. He's born in that generation, and a perfect project for Dan Quinn.
As I told you last week when I was thinking of who he was, especially when he bought in to switching to the linebacker position. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't understand. It took a while for him to say, all right, let's do this, because Cam Chancellor kept coming to mind to me. Cam Chancellor, when DeMarvion Overshown first got to the University of Texas, he was wearing number 31. I remember him blowing up Casey Thompson on the goal line during the spring. Twice. He did it twice.
Yeah, we were like, don't touch the
quarterback. I was like, you're not supposed to touch the quarterback. He blew him up twice because he was trying to make a name for himself, and Casey thought he could tiptoe through the tulips. Well, he let him know about himself. Cam Chancellor wore number 31 while he was with the Seattle Seahawks. His defensive coordinator was Dan Quinn. Cam Chancellor was 6'3", 225. That is DeMarvion Overshown. I kept saying that will be who he will represent in the NFL.
I remember you saying
and for Dan Quinn to say, I got you. You ready to go to work? And, Demo's like, yes, mold me, weaponize me. And I heard B&E talking about this, and this is something that you and I have been talking about too. He's not afraid to be on the special teams. He's a guy that can come in and make an impact right away. And he will be able to maximize that positionless football that you love to talk about And think about the people that he's going to be learning under. He's going to learn under the defensive side, with the linebackers, but he's also going to learn from a J-Ron Curse. He's going to learn from a Donovan Wilson. He's going to be able to be flexed into a position to play either safety or that rush outside linebacker. He is that dude, and this is going to be a perfect fit. And I saw people questioning, I don't know, did you watch his film? Yes, I saw him every day. The dude, all he needed to do was be able to go forward. What do they always say about Sergio Kendall? You can't let a thoroughbred go backwards. Turn him loose and let him go play. And one of his biggest strengths is what? Sideline to sideline. Dude can go sideline to sideline. And pair him up with Micah Parsons and the tutelage with Micah Parsons, yeah, he's going to be a special type of player for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, played 472 special team snaps in his career at Texas, so he is not afraid to play special teams. Louis Riddick remarked that DeMarvion Overshown is a striker. He loves the way that he hits when he makes contact with a ball carrier, and he's right about that. I mean, you just brought up the very those memorable shots, even in a spring game. DeMarvion Overshown hitting Casey Thompson. He does bring his hips. He brings it all with him when he hits a player. I'm sure Dan Quinn liked that, and also he's a natural pass rusher. Last year, off the edge, 25% pressure rate in 2022. Yep. That was one of the highest for any linebacker coming out in this draft, higher than Campbell and Drew Sanders and Noah Sewell and Daniel Henley and Trent Simpson, than a lot of those guys that were drafted ahead of him. He's a natural guy that can pass rush on the edge. So that's why Dan Quinn likes him too. He actually said after he was drafted by the Cowboys, he was told that his ability to rush the passer on third down is a part of why the Cowboys liked him. So also give some props to the Texas staff for finally using DeMarvion Overshown on the edge, and that, lifted and improved his draft stock.
No doubt.
That's part of it. You're part of your development and part of players being maximized and part of coaches finding a way to weaponize you in their system. They have to expand your skill set and show off your skill set. And Texas certainly did that with DeMarvion Overshown. Cowboys loved it. So Good move. I like that move for the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a certain type of linebacker that Dan Quinn covets, and they're really athletic guys who can run, whether it be Damone Clark or Micah Parsons or Jabril Cox, or hell, is it Harper, the kid they got out of Oklahoma State?
Devin Harper.
Or of course, DeMarvion Overshown. He wants those kind of new age hybrid linebackers that can run and that are comfortable in space. Yep. Okay, the other Longhorn, of course, there were 4 or 5 of them drafted, but 4 that we're getting to right now. We talked a lot about Bijan last week when he was drafted in the first round by the Falcons. Roschon Johnson. I thought when the Cowboys drafted DeMarvion Overshown, I thought that was the Rojo pick. I was like, man, might be the Rojo pick right there. Not the Rojo pick. Rojo falls to the 4th round, 115th overall to the Bears. The Bears. And where he will be in the same backfield with another lifetime Longhorn, Deontay Foreman.
Yes.
Who is also coming off a really good season, and he's going to be in the backfield with Deontay Foreman and Justin Fields. He can, obviously earn some reps, which I think Rojo can do. But we know he can play special teams, not afraid to do that. And the Bears, I think, right now look like they are a running football team. Like, that's the strength of their team right now. I'm not saying that Justin Fields can't evolve, but right now that's what sets them apart. That's where they are an elite, lethal weapon on offense, is their ability to run the football with Justin Fields as the added +1. Man, Rojo can add a real element to that offense, a power element to that offense. And we say what you want about Texas last year and their offense and how it looked in the passing game. The running game was not an issue at all. Matter of fact, the running game saved the season for Texas, and it was on the back of Rojo and Bijan.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And for him to go to Chicago, and you brought up the fact, too, with him being with DeMarvion Overshown. With Deontay Foreman. Yeah, that's huge. There's going to be that element of teaching and making him understand, too, what it's like to be a pro. When you start looking at what he's able to bring, another guy that's not afraid of special teams either. He's another guy that's not afraid to play on the special teams, to go down there and make a tackle. But more importantly, he brings so much, so many different levels of his football acumen to be able to go out there and play. Here's a former quarterback that was able to go to the running back position and transition to it perfectly. And then not only that, the way that he works every single day, you're not going to have to worry about him off the field. The most important thing is you're going to have to tell him to calm down a little bit to keep him, from going too hard, because that's just who he is. And you don't have to worry about the leadership. He's going to provide so much more for that team. And I'm excited for him. I think that's a good spot for him. Think about that offense now with what they did in the draft as well. They drafted a tackle. They brought in some, you got Justin Fields at quarterback that's going to be able to make it happen for him. You brought in some more weapons on the outside as well. This is a great opportunity for him to go to a team that is trying to come up as opposed to just trying to stay stagnant.
No, I'm with you. I like what the Bears have done. Like I said, that's a good move. We'll kind of go over the overall review of some of the best drafts overall in the NFL. But, sticking kind of with Rojo and where he lands, as long as he's landing with a team that wants to run the football, he's in a good spot. Yep. And the Bears are one of those teams, they want to run the football. They want that to be their identity. And, they need more than one back in that backfield. So I'm assuming that he can end up being one of the backs in the running back by committee for the Bears. So that's a good spot for him. I wanted Rojo to go to the Cowboys really bad. They addressed their running back position, which we'll get to. But I thought that'd be a good spot for him. Also, Keondre Coburn drafted in the 6th round by the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a great spot for Keondre Coburn. I was surprised, actually, he got drafted ahead of Moro Ojomo. But as I said, every team out there needs a Keondre Coburn. They need a run-stuffing, kind of a old-school gap, kind of plugging defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman. Keondre Coburn is that guy. Also proven added value, 31 pressures last year. So he also can pressure the quarterback when he needs to or situationally. But there's no question that Keondre Coburn can be a guy that can be a force in the running game on early downs for you. And the Chiefs, I think, they got some D tackles right now, plenty of them, I believe, in front of him. So I don't know he'll have to play right away. But definitely some vets he can learn from. Hell, you might have the best pass rushing D tackle in the league there with Chris Jones.
No doubt about it. And somebody sent you a text, Rob. Chiefs got their plunger. There you go.
They got their plunger.
They got their plunger.
Yeah,
they got a backup plunger because they already had a couple that was up there, but they got a backup plunger.
Well, Chris Jones don't like the stuff to run notoriously.
Yeah.
One of his things is, he believes that his skill set is kind of worth too much. He should be rushing the passer all the time. That's why they moved him around a lot on that defensive front. He does not like to be the double team taking wide body defensive tackle. He wants to be a guy, even put him on the edge like they did in the playoffs, because he thinks that he's gonna got body dysmorphia where he believes that he's smaller than he actually is.
Yeah, he's slender.
Yeah,
he's slender coming off of the edge.
He's like that dog. You have the little dog that thinks they're a big dog. He's
standing on the porch.
Yeah. He's a big dude that wants to be slender, but he's got the skill set. I mean, he's got really good feet and he's slender and he is a hell of a pass rusher. So he'd rather be rushing the passer. He wants that to be his main kind of feature as a player.
Yep.
So he doesn't want to do the dirty
work.
Of being the plunger. Hey, Keondre Coburn, he'll be the plunger.
Well, and here's another one, too. They got Charles Omenihu on that team as well that just came over from San Francisco. Yeah. So there's that relationship. They signed Anthony Cook in the secondary as well. And they also took the first-rounder, Felix Ndike Uzoma out of the Big 12.
That guy's not left Kansas. Kansas City.
Ever.
He's been there.
I think he grew up in Kansas City. I think he was born and raised in Kansas City.
Went to Kansas City.
And you have to remember, in Kansas City, they don't want to pay Chris Jones what he wants either.
That's right. He's going to be moving around. That's
so
right.
there is something to be said that they don't want to pay him, and so they may be trying to figure out if they can just go ahead and draft the next guy and let him walk.
That's why they don't want to use him as a pass rusher a lot of times too, because his stats will be unbelievable. If they use him as every game as feature him every game as a pass rusher, dude, he'd be one of the league leaders in sacks and pressures.
Yeah,
and be demanding crazy money.
They added a bunch of defensive linemen this offseason to maybe offset and go, hey man, if we find the next guy and get somebody in there that can do around what he can do, and he wants top D end money, we're not going to get him top D end money. We're the Kansas City Chiefs.
Unfortunately. That's the way it works.
Yeah, right. We'll go get our next guy.
Somebody else will pay you.
If we can get Omenihu and Dive and Coburn and those guys all form a good young O-line, cool. Pay them a lot less.
Yep.
And the Chiefs have one of the best GMs in the league, Brett Veach. So he's definitely thinking down line because he's definitely thinking.
They call him Big Veach.
Because I know he's thinking I gotta renegotiate this Mahomes deal before Mahomes starts to think, hey, man, why am I being underappreciated value-wise when you're looking at what he's being paid? So I wonder if they'll do something with that deal, too, just to make sure, like, I don't know. We appreciate you, Patrick Mahomes. You are the man. Like, we love you. So, yeah, I don't doubt what Kansas City does, man, because they're one of the top 3 teams.
They do well.
Yes, in terms of handling their business.
Track record, winning.
You brought up the undrafted free agent Anthony Cook signing with Kansas City. Also, Deshaun Jameson with the San Francisco 49ers. It's a good spot for him. I think as a returner, Deshaun Jameson really is a natural.
No doubt.
I mean, he's one of the best returners in the country. I don't know why he was relegated to just being a DB in Sark's tenure here, but they didn't really let him return as much as he did when he was with Tom Herman. I think part of the allure, the draw to him would be the fact that, man, he can really be an explosive returner for you.
No doubt.
So,
I've been saying it for a long time. I've been like, man, if he could get the ball in space, he is dangerous because his speed is so deceptive. His strides are so smooth. It doesn't look like he's running that fast until he's past you. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, man, I thought I had an angle on that guy. And it seems like every stride that he takes is just one more than what you were expecting. I've been a big fan on him in the return game, and I was disappointed that he didn't get that many opportunities in the past couple years. But, man, he's going to get an opportunity, I believe, with the 49ers.
Yeah, it was weird that he didn't get more opportunities.
Because they gave it to X-Men.
I understand that.
No, I'm saying
I know
I don't get that.
Well, no, because Sark just loves X-Men.
Yeah.
But, I'm with you. It seemed like even on kickoff return and punt return that they used him less and less.
I'm like.
And he was playing less.
Right.
He was playing less on the field, like actually as a cornerback. So I was like, oh, then why not just let him be full-time return guy? Because X-Man was being targeted a little too much.
Exactly.
As we know, it's almost a burden to the offense. So anyway, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the future.
Yeah, we're talking about he's in the league now.
But I like the places that all the Longhorns landed. Which Longhorn do you think will see the field? Take Bijan out of it.
Yeah, I was going to
say. We're talking about the 4 other guys that were drafted after Bijan. Which one sees the field first? Guys, which one?
I think it's Rojo. I think Rojo gets on the field. I know that because he's going to be the third down back, I believe. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities. You also look at what Overshawn's going to be able to do. We're not going to use the special teams aspect of it. We're talking about actual playing time.
Yeah.
I think it'll be DeMarvin. I think he'll get an opportunity.
Yeah, I think Roschon's going to be in just because in today's running back game, you're going to have to use 2 backs, and I think he's going to be the second back. He'll work his way into that role.
Yep.
But Overshawn, I could see, pretty early in the season being used in specific locations, so not an every down starter, but somebody that they go, all right, we're going to put him on third down, or we're going to put him in here and show this look, and we'll flip out here, and if it's an automatic passing down, then we don't necessarily want Leighton Vander Esch as much. And maybe we'll put in Overshawn in these passing downs to try and, and we can drop him back or rush him, and he can play really good coverage. So I think he could be used in certain situations a lot for the Cowboys.
That would be interesting. Yeah, like a dime package.
Yeah.
With him out there as one of your linebackers, but basically he's almost a hybrid back.
Yeah, because he can pass right. Because then you're like, well is he showing or is he going to come out and guard the tight end?
No, I totally agree with you. And he said they like his ability to rush off the edge. I'm going to go with Rojo too. Just seems like the easier one.
Yeah.
I think so. We're all in.
We're all in agreement.
Unanimity in that. Yeah, that I think it's going to be Rojo, man. Rojo. I was surprised that he dropped where he did. You're talking about a guy that averaged more yards after contact per rush than Bijan did. And led the country in broken tackle rate in the last 2 years. So he hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities, obviously because he's behind Bijan Robinson. But with Chicago, I could see them using him situationally, power situations. We know it was great, Wildcat here at Texas. So situationally, Rojo's going to definitely be the first to see the field just because running back by committee is too popular. And situationally, he's just too damn good at breaking tackles.
And we also know that Rojo is the type of guy that if you walk in and go, hey, we need you to lead block for Justin Fields on this play, you may have an older back that'd be like, dude, I don't want to lead block on all these. And Rojo, I'll do it. My hands up. Coach, put me in. I'll lead block.
Great point. Totally agree with you. And I think, man, I wouldn't be surprised if we see multiple back sets because they can just go power back sets football potentially up there.
Yeah.
And with 2 Longhorns in the backfield, that'd be pretty damn cool. I could see them doing something like that too. All right, so excited about the Longhorns. Specs X line wide open for you. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk draft. We didn't get into the Cowboys really, or the or the Texans. So we'll get into the Cowboys and the Texans coming up next and review their draft right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's my man Patrick plays songs intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans out there. And I guess right now Texas baseball fans could use some soothing, if you will. Have we checked on that score? You don't want to?
From what I understood, we do not.
Okay.
I mean, they've scored more runs.
The Texans have scored some more runs?
They have scored some more runs.
Okay.
They're still down.
Okay. Nobody, I love that nobody wants to give me a score update. No,
because it's a lot to a little.
It's bad.
It's a lot to a little.
Let's move on to some things that put people in a better mood, apparently. Let's talk about the Cowboys draft. We just talked about it kind of because DeMarvion Overshown was one of the draft picks, third-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. We like that pick. We had been talking about DeMarvion Overshown would be a good pick for the Dallas Cowboys, so it made a lot of sense. But let's get to, and we talked about Mazi Smith a ton last week, and we can get back to that conversation too. But give me your thoughts about the rest of the draft for the Dallas Cowboys. Hards, they do get their tight end. All right. Is it Schoonmaker? Is that how you pronounce it?
I prefer not draft him. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. Not draft him.
58th overall, though. You don't like that value?
No, I don't.
They had been taking a lot of. They have been taking a lot of tight ends off the board, though.
Yeah.
I think they had a mini run on tight ends in the second round, but you don't like that pick at the 58th.
No, I did not like that pick at the 58th spot. And the reason why I didn't like the pick is because I thought there was another way to get some more value there at that position.
Okay.
I mean, you could have looked at Darnell Washington at one point because I thought he was a more athletic type of
Some
tight end.
people saying like some medical red flags possibly.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. And here's a team that, everybody kept thinking they should have taken Michael Mayer. And I kept saying no. Not only that, other teams didn't take Michael Mayer. So understand where we're coming from with that conversation. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I don't know if I might have sent you guys the audio of how it all came down. And a tight end wasn't even in the conversation for that 26th pick. So a lot of people kept saying, oh, he should have been that guy. They should have went for Mayer at 26. They weren't going to take a tight end at that position, which I was excited about because what did I say before we left? I said, I want the Cowboys to take either an offensive or a defensive lineman. And that's the two people that were there. There was and I love the way Will McClay said it. He said, we've never had a defensive player that was that high on our board at that position for us to take. We've had it for offensive linemen, and we've done great.
We've done it. Yeah.
We've done it. So for me to look at that and say, all right, let's grab this guy, I thought that was perfect for them. And the more and more you look at it and you do some more research on Mazi Smith, you say, I think they got it right because this is a guy that can come in and be very physical at the very beginning, and I give you a lot of credit for it. You kept talking about the fact of the plunger aspect of it, and what the Cowboys have been doing is piecemealing it. They've been grabbing a guy here, grabbing a guy there. Well, now you have a guy that can be part of your future until it's time for you to decide if you want to pay him or not. I think that was the great move, and I'm hoping, you asked about which Longhorn will be impactful right away. I think this Michigan Wolverine will be impactful right away.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about, again, you're playing the Eagles twice a year, and even though they don't draft Bijan Robinson, they make a trade for DeAndre Swift to add in with Rashad Penny and Boston Scott. Like, that running back core with Jalen Hurts that can go out the middle on those QB sneaks, it's nice to have somebody that can just shore up against a team like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, okay, but no, I like the Mazi Smith pick too, and I think he physically he was a freak. But to play devil's advocate on the second round pick for the Cowboys at 58th overall, the tight end from Michigan and two Michigan guys.
Two Michigan guys, yeah.
So the Eagles love Georgia and the Cowboys love Michigan because the Cowboys had a chance to take both of those Georgia guys.
Yes, they did.
They had a chance to take Nolan Smith,
which is the one I wanted. Remember, I wanted Nolan Smith
instead of Mazi Smith. Got the wrong Smith.
Got the wrong. That would have been perfect for me. That's the wrong Tyler.
But no, they had a chance here actually too, right? To take a who was this? What was the second round? They had I forgot his name. Darnell Washington.
Yeah, Darnell Washington.
Right,
but the medical red flags.
So, exactly. So I think the medical red flag thing might have. The Cowboys have one of the best training staffs in all the NFL, and that might have turned the Cowboys off. So, but to play devil's advocate, his RAS score, which is a relative athletic score, is 9.86 out of 10. pretty athletic.
Yep.
4'6'3", so he can move for a big man. Was he 6'5", 251? He is older. I think he's going on 25 years old. At least he will be when the season starts. He is a decent route runner, but you can't play in a Jim Harbaugh offense if you can't block.
Right,
So
exactly.
he can block.
Yep.
And he ran a sub 1.6 10-yard split at the combine, which is pretty good. He's deceptive in setting up his defenders for his routes. His footwork is really nice. I see why they like him. But I also see why some people said, hey, man, I'd go with, was it Osiris Torrance, I think, was still on the board there. Darnell Washington still on the board there. I see why some people might have said that, but the medical red flags and the fact that I think they think he's going to play right away.
Yes.
And maybe Osiris Torrance could have played right away for him too. You could make that argument. But I think they actually may end up going some 13 personnel next year, and 12. They play 12 personnel probably 31% of the time. The Cowboys do. They play a lot of 12 personnel. One back, 2 tight ends.
Yeah, and I look at it and I say, okay, I told you I'm a big Jake Ferguson fan. Hendershot had some moments, but the blocking aspect of it is something that leaves much to be desired, I guess you would say. But a lot of times in the NFL, Patrick, you brought it up just a little bit ago, the way that the NFL plays, the tight ends are more effective as a weapon than they are as blockers. But you said it too, Rod. You bring in all these guys. Now you can go into the big backs. You can go into the jumbo tight end package where you can have those 2 guys on there. But here's the other thing. This was the first time I believe that the Cowboys only went out and drafted 1 offensive lineman as well, because normally they like to stockpile the offensive line.
Very true.
But now they decided to branch out and fill some other voids. Let's look at it this way. There's only a few guys that you can sit in here and say they will be day one starters, that can possibly come in and say day one start. The Cowboys, like the Longhorns, they've had starters. They've got good guys on the offensive and defensive lines that you can look forward to them being there for this season. They just needed to provide a bunch of depth. They did it at one position, and that is the linebacker position. But there needed to be a little bit more at the linebacker position. Let's think about it. Leighton Vander Esch, he's been injured, off the injury. Played well last year. We didn't know if he was going to be able to play last year, but he ended up doing it. And then you bring in a DeMarvion Overshown. But then who else do you have to back up those positions? I know he loves to play the big DBs and bring them down and be able to do it. We had Sam Williams get drafted last year, Damone Clark the year before. I mean, last year as well, or 2 years ago. One of them came in. Which was the one from LSU? I know Damone Clark was there, but what was the other one? Jabril Cox.
Yes.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
So you do have those guys, but does that mean that they're not feeling them as much, or because of injuries? Is it because they're not picking it up?
No,
what is
Jabril Cox, they've shied away from him because they don't like the way he plays the run early on, and they started to play less Jabril Cox and focus him on special teams and to give Damone Clark a lot of those reps. So they really like Damone Clark. Physically, Damone Clark is just a freak.
Yes,
I mean,
he
even
is.
Micah Parsons has remarked that this dude is with me when we run drills. And I'm like the most athletic guy on the team. So those 2 guys are freaks, and they like those 2 guys there. About the, I think with Leighton Vander Esch, he's the one that allows you to hybridize Micah Parsons because he stabilized the linebacking core. If he stays healthy, you're fine. Remember, you can always move Micah back and forth too, situationally, matchup base wise as well. But I think right now their top guys there are Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, and they want to find more dependable pieces at the linebacker position. That's why DeMarvion Overshown was kind of a priority for him as a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, that's
so they obviously
I'm
don't
glad
trust.
to
They
see
don't
it.
trust the pieces they brought in so far.
Right.
That's why
I was looking at it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that was the position of the lack of depth.
Yeah, and that's why they play more 3 safety, big nickel, big dime. They probably play big nickel, big dime close to 35%, 40% of their snaps. They're in 3 safety packages. And they got a lot of DBs too. So I think they'll use more of their 3 safety packages too to help not stabilize, but to supplement, I should say, the linebacking core.
Definitely going to be something to pay attention to. And again, we talk about Dan Quinn and how he creates and what that defense represented. But the offense needs a little bit more juice. And I thought they were going to take a running back. I thought they was going, but I'm talking about. I thought they were going to take one higher.
No.
I thought they were going to take
taller.
one.
You meant, huh?
No.
What?
You meant one that might know how to do pass protection for more than 1 second.
Hey, y'all better leave my boy Deuce alone.
I like Deuce Vaughn. I think Deuce Vaughn's
That's
great.
one of the best picks
Problem
they
is
made.
you got 2 of them on that roster already.
Yeah,
That's one
true.
of the best picks they made is Deuce Vaughn. It really is.
Oh.
But I understand Cowboys' concern that, well, you said you want to be a running football team.
Right.
And you got a Tony Pollard coming off a big-time injury.
Big-time injury.
And then you got, Deuce Vaughn, Ronald Jones.
And you still have Miles Davis at the running back position.
Right. I mean, what?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's
Got
who
a
it
bunch
is.
of jabronis
Yeah.
back there.
I
running
agree.
football.
And
I'm
I
telling
say,
you, they're running
trust
football
me.
Also,
team.
none of those
know.
guys are known for pass protection.
Yeah,
None
That's
of
true,
them.
too. Good
which
point.
is why, which is why the door is still open for Ezekiel Elliott to come back.
Hey, Large, I
wait.
think that's 100%. He went, I'm going to get the guy from Dallas
Yep.
and Ronald Jones. I'm going to get my boy's kid
Yep.
in Deuce Vaughn. And then when we clearly don't have a running back who can do pass pro or short yardage, I can bring my boy Z back and go, guys, I tried to tell you we need to keep him. And you're like, Jerry, you're the reason we need to keep him because you can't go out and find somebody. Go trade for
I'm
somebody
telling
else.
you, I love the conspiracy.
I wish
dog.
I could tell you that was a stupid conspiracy, but
It
makes
is
too
not.
much sense because Jerry loves him. When we brought it up, like, why you bring it up, Z?
Hey, because
Should've
the
drafted a
videos are out
running
there
back.
with him working in the fields. He's working
Oh,
with the
my
footwork
goodness.
coach. He's going to slim down
We're
again.
talking about the deepest running back draft in the last 10 years. Cowboys couldn't find one to the very end that wasn't related to the damn coach.
let's put it this way.
It's a really good pick. I like
I
it.
think Deuce Vaughn's a great pick
It's
if
a
you're
great
not trying to
pick.
win a Super Bowl this year.
But
I
it's
think Deuce
situ-
Vaughn
it's-
is a great pick if you don't want to re-sign Tony Pollard in a year because I think Deuce Vaughn could show potential to replace Tony Pollard. The problem
But
is
Deuce
he's
Vaughn
not
is-
the other back.
I agree with everything you said. I totally agree with you because Deuce Vaughn is awesome, but Deuce Vaughn can never be the main course of your running game. All right,
Darren
he is a
Sproles
side.
was-
He's a
Sproles was
side
never
dish.
that
All right,
either.
he's your mashed potatoes. He's your mac and cheese.
Hey, which
he
kind of mac
cannot
and
be
cheese?
the
That's that
pork
good
chop.
mac and
He
cheese.
can't be the chicken fried steak of your running game.
Right.
You got to find a better back to that. Sark tried that. Remember?
Yep.
He
Yep.
tried in the bowl game. Remember, Keelan Robinson basically was his. He tried to make a mashed potatoes the main course. You can't make mac and cheese and mashed potatoes the main course of the running game. Have you not seen? You need some substance, man. I need some protein, man. You need
Raisins don't
protein.
count.
Cowboys right now.
Don't
they
put
got
no raisins in it.
Cowboys right now got a bunch of side dishes and they ain't got no damn main course
That's
of the
why
running
they
game.
bringing back Zeke, dog.
Oh, man,
I'm telling
please.
you. I'm telling you.
Man, that's some expired meat right there. I don't want none of that. That's
Hey,
some expired.
That's that Dollar General.
Yeah, that, I don't know if I trust that.
Hey,
man.
that's it. That's got that tag on it.
It says
for sale for today.
Hey,
Mark
look,
down.
that means you gotta cook it today.
How long that meat been out?
You gotta cook
Smell
it
funny.
today.
Oh man,
You gotta cook it in a car.
I
You
ain't
gotta
said-
have
I
one
ain't
of
never
those.
seen meat look this color before. But I guess we cook it, it'll be all right.
I will be. Listen, I think Deuce Vaughn might be one of the best damn picks they
I
made
think so,
all
too.
draft.
He
Like
did-
it's probably my top three. Actually, top 2 or 3 favorite picks they made.
I agree. I
Easily.
agree 100%. And
But-
and the story is so good. I like it. I was very excited when I saw. Matter of fact, I texted his mom and I was like, "My kids are getting a Deuce Vaughn jersey. My son don't even like the Cowboys, but he will wear a Deuce Vaughn jersey. Ordering it today."
Yeah, Deuce is gonna make the roster.
Oh, for sure.
Like he can play special. He's making everything that Kevontae Turpin ain't.
Thank you.
Because he can run routes downfield.
And he can.
Might as well cut Turpin right
and
now.
think about this. Think about this. Behind that offensive line, that big old offensive line, what linebacker, safety, or corner is going to be able to see him? None
can't.
of them.
No.
And he'll pop out, just like Darren Sproles did. He's going to be just as effective as Darren Sproles was in the NFL because he's so versatile.
No,
I
he really
love
can.
it. I love it.
I love that pick.
love it.
But still, side dish.
Side dish.
Side
Yeah.
I'll
side dish.
take it.
Side dish.
Sometimes them side dishes taste good.
They do.
Yeah, but that ain't a full dinner, Harge.
Exactly.
Hey,
He's,
You
a,
gotta be hungry in an hour.
he's an appetizer, man.
He's an appetizer.
He's an appetizer. Get a main course for that running
I am
game.
all
and
in.
it ain't Zeke.
He's definitely not Zeke.
It's
Zeke's
not
coming
Zeke.
in, though. Zeke will be back. They ain't giving away 21.
You know what I think they're waiting to do? Trade for Derrick Henry.
Dude,
I will take
they
that.
have to do it. Like this point, it's getting closer to them
Right?
having to do it. The problem is, that running back room is going to be close to $30 million this year. And I get it. You got to do it. You put yourself in a corner.
Don't forget.
I
they
think
did-
you can go trade for DeAndre Swift.
Thank you.
They already do. They're mid
Thank
trading now.
Why can you do that though?
That
You
should have been the
coulda.
number
That's what I'm
one
saying.
move.
Nah,
Nah,
How
because
can
you were
you
waiting.
do
You were
it?
waiting for the emotional moment where Deuce Vaughn got picked.
He coulda
and you
still
gotta-
been
You're
picked.
gonna get likes on Twitter for 20 minutes instead of taking a guy that you need, like Roshan earlier in the draft.
They should have. Remember, I kept yelling for them to sign Deontay Foreman in the offseason. I was like, sign
Yeah.
Deontay
That was
Foreman.
one of the first
Cheap,
things
cheap,
that should have
cheap.
happened.
Oh.
That would have
And
been
they-
cheap.
and now-
so good.
now he's
Him
in.
and Rojo in the same backfield. It's like, you still don't have a main back.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, I'll take it, though.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
All right, we'll come back. Good stuff there.
We
We'll
must
come
be
back.
running the quarterback the whole time.
Oh, please don't start that. No, they can't afford to do that right now.
Right.
Too much money. All
At
right,
least
we'll
they got
come
a
back.
tight end who can block.
They do got a couple of tight ends that can
They
block,
do.
though. They just ain't got a running back that can run, really.
Thank
All right,
you.
we'll come right back. Right here, we got the flex on the other side right here on Bar Don't Lie. 104 down the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila, my go-to tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. Of course, by now you already know that the cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and just as delicious. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light and so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, well, Hot Cat Tequila will turn you into a fan of tequila. It will turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to celebrate with Hot Cat Tequila, the draft picks for the Longhorns. For every Longhorn that was drafted, I enjoyed myself a nice shot of Hot Cat Tequila. Just to celebrate and turn up, you can do the same thing too. Once you try Hot Cat, you'll never go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up the party with Hot Cat Tequila. Perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Cat Tequila. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. It's my man Patrick Plays Jams, intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may have had a tough weekend. Right now, that's Texas baseball. I was trying to go get an update on the score. Usually, their Twitter account's pretty good about updating the score. Hadn't been updated in like an hour.
No need.
No need to update it?
No need to update.
Nope.
They're still battling.
Still battling?
Yeah.
You know what the score is?
From way in the back. They battling from way in the back.
You want to give the people a score update?
No, I do not. No, I do not. No, I do not.
I love that y'all won't give. Is it like superstition that if we give the score update, then not, it makes it real?
Yeah. It makes it too honest.
It's real no matter what.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, Hart is looking at the score, but he won't give a score update on it.
Well, let's just say it's a lot to a little, and it's in the top of the 7th inning. Texas is not doing very well, and TCU's doing great.
All you gotta do is say the score. People would be able to
15-6.
that.
15-6.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I know why you. Okay.
But the good
Sorry.
news is Tanner Witt is back.
There
He
you
got
go.
a chance to come out and pitch. He didn't have he did exactly what, to be honest with you, what I expected him to do.
What's that?
And I just thought he was going to try to be too amped up and try. He wasn't,
Okay.
finding his way.
Yeah.
And there were some pitches. He threw some good breaking balls. He had good life on his fastball, but it wasn't what everyone was thinking it was going to be when he first came out. So
Yeah. Obviously, he wasn't the only issue for the Longhorns.
No, he was not.
With a score like that. All right, so Harge, I'm sure it's gonna. We'll hear.
by the time
more.
the game is over, we'll give some
Yes,
more.
I say we'll hear more about that because we'll get
Yeah.
into that in like the 6:30 segment.
Yeah, there
We'll
you go.
dive into Texas baseball and we have a chance to digest it ourselves, and we'll probably get the bubble guts trying to digest that thing.
That is 100% true, sir.
Go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all your social media platforms. Shout out to a member of the Flex family,
Yep.
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn, there he is.
Getting drafted there. Shout out. We're just talking about Deuce Vaughn, member of the Flex family, because he was once a member of the Cedar Ridge, correct?
Yes, he was. Cedar Ridge.
I do remember, strangely enough, Wags used to do them games.
He did.
And no, there wasn't a bigger Deuce Vaughn fan in the ATX than Wags at the time. I literally remember him going on the radio talking about it to the point where people had to go look it up, or at least had to go.
Because he put up ridiculous numbers.
No, and Wags would come on air and say, I don't know why nobody's recruiting him. I don't know why Texas recruiting him. He can play for Texas. He can play for Texas. I'm telling you, he can play for Texas.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, he's just saying that. He's probably a really good player. I don't know if he can play for Texas. Nope. Wags
He
right.
could've.
He can play for Texas.
Exactly. He could have.
Shout out to Wags. Wags was the first one I heard just kind of going crazy. I was like, why is he talking about this kid, Deuce Vaughn?
Yep.
And turns out Wags got a good scout now.
No
Shout
doubt.
out.
No doubt. And also shout out to a couple of players from the ATX. O'Shawn Mathis, he got drafted by the Rams.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah, from Manor.
That's right.
Bowie's Elijah Higgins was drafted by the Dolphins as
now.
well.
Nice.
So there's some guys that definitely would have been a part of the Flex ATX.
like
Shout
that.
out to my man Danny Davis for posting that
Beautiful.
and letting us know that. Also, I want to give a special birthday shout out
B-Days.
to someone who does a lot for this area with a lot of high school players. He's a friend of the show. He's been on and even had the Flex come out to a lot of his FBU. You actually worked with him at the All-American game in San Antonio, Mr. Anthony Williams.
Hey.
Happy birthday, Big Ant. He's like a
Shout
big
out.
brother to me.
Yeah, he's
And
good man.
I've been around their family since they moved to Texas, and I can't be more excited for him and what he's been doing with FBU. So all the kids around here go to FBU football. They know all about it. You can figure more about it. And he's probably been in contact with half of you.
Yeah. Oh no, he's got a good heart. He's a good
Yep.
man,
Yep.
actually, really good man, and he does good work too with the young folks out there, trying
No
to
doubt.
give everybody a chance to showcase their skill.
No doubt.
And get some good coaching too.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
wasn't
say.
coach
Got some good
players.
coaches.
I had
That's
good
right.
quality coaching, man. Your boy
That's
was
right.
all into
Your boy
it.
was in it.
Hopefully they ask you.
I saw the videos. I saw the videos.
All in the video.
Yeah, all up in the video.
All right, we come back. We got NBA playoff review on the other side. The Miami Heat win Game 1, and the Warriors, with an epic performance by Steph Curry, win Game 7. And now we have a fantastic matchup coming up in the
classic.
second round between LeBron and the Lakers and Steph and the Warriors. Yeah, it's going to be a classic. We'll
I
come back
love
and
it.
discuss that right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn.
Guess what, folks? I know you probably have never had any of this action around you, but now it's time to be part of Premier Rugby 7's action. That's right, rugby is here, and you can come out and be a part of it. Come out and party with the PR7s from the Eastern Conference kickoff on Saturday, June 17th at Q2 Stadium. The PR7s, as you know in short, is a rugby team for an American audience. That's right, featuring predominantly North American player pools and competing in some of the best entertainment facilities across the country. The team Texas dominates the pitch like a herd of wild Mustangs. Their shield flashes warning colors of the sandstone, orange, and slate. That's right. And you will definitely be a part of it. They'll be representing the Lone Star State. The team Texas will change the pitch with fearsome horsepower before their opponents can even try. You can catch professional rugby at its best. See the team, headliners, locals, and the men's and women's Texas team battle for a spot in the championship. Don't miss our Ultimate Fan Fest experience with fun, games, drinks, music, and so much more. And it's all happening at Q2 Stadium Saturday, June 17th. That is Saturday, June 17th. And if you want tickets, go to pr7s.com. That's pr7s.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday right here on Ball Don't Lie. Patrick's playing jams intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may have had a tough weekend. But I think a lot of fans out there are celebrating, especially NFL fans, because the NFL draft happened this past weekend. It's all about hope. Every NFL team out there optimistic about their draft. So we'll talk a lot about the draft on the upcoming segment in the 5 o'clock. We'll get back to the NFL draft discussion and talk about the Cowboys and the Texans and also the Longhorns who were drafted in the NFL draft. And you also have undrafted free agents. Don't forget about the undrafted free agents. You got, I think, 3 Longhorns right now who have been tracked to teams on undrafted free agency deals. So we'll give you some clues and some nuggets about that coming up in the top of the 5 o'clock. All right, what's coming up for us, Harge, on Harge Knock Life?
We're gonna continue the conversation about the draft. We're gonna go down to H-Town with the Get Down and talk to my man Stan Norfleet of Sports Talk 790 in Houston, talk about what he saw in the draft, what he thinks is going on in Houston. But I also wanted to see if he can convince Patrick to go all the way in. I know he said he's back.
He's back.
But I want to make sure that he's all the way back. I want some good news from my man Patrick Davis.
We'll get Patrick's thoughts about the Texans, the rest of the draft.
That's right.
He was already back in after the first round. He decided that was enough for him to see. We'll see if he likes the rest of it. The rest of it, the draft was pretty interesting, too. You got some products that we all know very well. We saw a lot of these products because he drafted the linebacker from Alabama, Henry To'o. Is it To'o?
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that's
I know
it.
who
I think it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
He's a really good player.
Number 10.
Yes.
He was number 10 on Alabama.
The coach is like, yeah, we call him number 10. But he drafted him. Dylan Horton, another player they drafted from TCU. We got a chance to see him up close and personal. Got a chance to see Xavier Hutchinson, another player from Iowa State
which
from the Big 12.
I think is the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
For the Texans, that was a steal right there.
And they got the Tank Dell kid out of U of H, who, if you've been watching a lot of.
Explosive as well.
So they got a lot of
Smallest
players.
tank ever.
Yeah, really?
He is 5'8", 165.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like.
That is a small tank.
You know what that reminds you of?
A small tank.
Gerald McNeil, Ice Cube, from back in the day. If you remember, he used to play for the Houston Gamblers, played for the Cleveland
His nickname
Browns.
was Ice Cube?
Ice Cube.
Wow. Well,
Little dude.
man.
Yeah, kinfolk.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Ice
Gerald
Cube?
Ice Cube McNeil.
I did not.
Gerald
never heard of
McNeil, yes.
that. All right.
Yep.
I'll check that out. I'll do some rabbit holing.
You'll
Google that.
You'll be excited.
Ice Cube before Ice Cube.
Before Ice Cube.
All right. I got to
There
make
you
sure I
go.
get the whole name in it. If I just type Ice Cube. What Ice Cube?
You're going to get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you're going to like that.
Gerald McNeil.
Gerald McNeil. All right.
Yep.
Thanks for a little nugget there. I like
Yep.
that. All right, let's get to some NBA nuggets here, gentlemen. The big story over the weekend, Game 7 in the NBA, the Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. That was in Sacramento. They were trying to light the beam on the Warriors. Not the case because Steph Curry showed up and showed out, gentlemen. 50 points in Game 7. He set a new NBA record for scoring in a Game 7, and they end up beating Sacramento 120-100. 50 points, 7 3-pointers, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He was a one-man wrecking crew. I mean, he just really took the game really from the beginning, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
He really kind of took the Warriors and put them on his shoulders and really dominated that game and set the tone early and really was able to close out that game too. So it was a great overall team victory, but no question, Horace, the 50-point performance by Steph, which was a record-setting performance, that was no doubt the headline of the Game 7 win for the Warriors. And that's only their 13th road win all year.
That is the thing about it, is when you start looking at who they were, and that's why everybody was trying to figure out. You talked about the road record, and they can't win on the road, lighting the beam. But the fact of the matter is, Steph Curry wanted to make sure I was going to will my team to victory. There were times he was running in front of people to get a pass. They were trying to pass the ball to Andrew Wiggins on one play, and he ran in front of them, got the ball, and made the bucket. Everything that he did yesterday was exactly who he is, what we've seen Steph do. The problem was some of his teammates weren't helping him. Klay Thompson looked like he was point shaving yesterday. And Klay is one of the better shooters in the game, and he just didn't look like he was in it. But at the end of it all, he said, I think we just witnessed the greatest performance by somebody that we expect these types of things from, but now he's elevated himself to different levels. He's an MVP, he's a champion, But those are the types of games in the game sevens when I told you before, that's my 2 favorite words, game 7, because it's winner take all, and he came out and did that. And that just goes to show that the Sacramento Kings are still just a little bit away from it all.
Yeah,
because you should have been able to beat them.
No, and I mean, you need De'Aaron Fox to have a better game than he did. Yeah. I think we saw both teams were just really beat down at the end of the series. That they both were, and you could tell they're calling the game a little bit tighter at points because they were just so beat up and they let it get so much more physical throughout this series. They were trying to shore it back up, so guys were getting into foul trouble in their standoff. No one looked like they were on point except for Steph Curry, who went in there and won it. I thought going into the weekend that Golden State was going to win over the weekend just in the fact that they have Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, when you talk about two teams that are pretty evenly matched and everything in there is pretty even and you're seeing it go back and forth, but then there's that one guy who can do something special.
Yep.
I mean, we saw it with Jimmy Butler in Miami. That Jimmy Butler is the reason why Miami is winning. Steph Curry is the reason why Golden State can win in those games because you just kind of had a average performance by everybody else on the Warriors. And when we talk about that road record, there is something to be put into it that the team was not healthy for most of those, for a lot of the season. So there was a lot where Wiggins did not play a ton of the season. Now you add back in a guy who can get you 15 to 20 points a game. That's a huge add-on all of a sudden to just be like, oh, we're just add on 15 to 20 points pretty easily from Wiggins. I think Sabonis played well in that last game. He was pretty much the only King that had a really good game. De'Aaron Fox got in foul trouble and just was not able to get out of it. And, this is where the NBA needs to change the challenge rule, too, is you need to be able to have the challenge rule be more like the NFL, that if you get it right, you get another one.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Because there was a play in the first half where De'Aaron Fox got all ball, and you easily would have challenged it because it gave him his second foul of the game, and maybe you're still early in the game. You don't want your star player to get a foul, but you can't challenge that early because now if it comes down to in the fourth quarter and they blow another one, you need to have your challenge. But if you allow it to go, no, we get this one hits, then I still have one ready for in the fourth quarter. So I think they need to add in that if you get one right,
you don't punish them.
You don't punish them for the refs being bad.
Yeah, you get one extra one if you get it right.
If you get it right.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, just kind of put a limit on it after that, but that's
because it's only one more a game. It's not like you're getting tons
of
challenges.
reward for.
But yeah, but
then they made it correctly and accurately assessed.
And this is in the NBA is the most hard to challenge league.
Yeah.
That most of them fail because they're like, if you make any contact, so you get all ball with your left hand, but your right hand is on his hip, even if you're not pushing, not doing anything, it's always still a foul. Because they're like, you make contact.
That was contact.
That's a foul. So it's just hard to win those challenges. So I don't see why it wouldn't be a problem to just go, hey, let's hit this. The refs they're getting calls wrong. Let's try and get the game ref correctly enough.
Yeah, but also officials don't like to be wrong on those calls.
They don't, but they're wrong.
The pride. Yeah, the pride of the officials is another big part of that too. But yeah, Steph, you guys are right. He did not wait to see if his team, because LeBron does this at times. LeBron will almost wait to see which one of his teammates gets hot and who's kind of feeling it at the time, and then he will play whatever role is needed. Depending on who's hot on the team. Steph didn't, and I'm sure Steph has done that before too, but Steph didn't wait on that moment.
Yeah.
He decided, no, I'm not going to take the chance. If somebody wants to join me, come right ahead.
Exactly.
But I will make sure my team is in this game, and if somebody plays with me here, we're going to win this game and blow them out.
That is the most important thing.
But he was clutch.
Right there.
He was like, no, I'm not waiting. That's why he had 10 in the first, 10 in the second. What he had 14 in the third, 16 in the fourth. He's like, I'm not waiting.
Closing out,
come on, if y'all want to join me, please do. But I'm going. Like you said, he was stealing balls from his own guys.
Exactly. He's like, no, man, because you don't look like you ready. You don't look like you ready.
I seen your face.
You weren't ready.
You ain't ready, man.
Because I am not about to walk away from this.
He was watching Jimmy.
Exactly.
He was watching Jimmy Butler like, nah, man. Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy gonna do that, then Steph gonna do it too.
Steph gonna do it. Yeah. Stephon and Steven Urkel. He turned into Stephon.
No, you're right, man. Steph. That was a great performance. Just watching him. That was dominant. Where do we? I mean, legacy wise, where do you rank this performance in terms of what you've seen from Steph so far in his career? Are we talking about top 3 all-time greatest performance?
This has to be
greatest performance.
This has to be one of the only way it would be better is if it would have been a championship.
Yeah, it was game
if
7.
it would have been a championship game in a game 7 for him to elevate himself. But if you look at some of the numbers, he became the highest scoring game 7 player in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you got to rank it all the way up there. And he's done amazing things throughout his career anyway. So when you see him go out there and is able to perform at that level, we expect it because he is an MVP, but he hadn't been able to do that so much here the last few times because he's had help. You know, you look the reason why not Clay, because I could talk about Clay and how he's been disappointing this series, and now he's going to get a reprieve because he's going to be going up against the Lakers. But also, Jordan Poole didn't do anything.
No,
he hasn't done anything for it. And he was the one last year that everybody was talking about, got his bag, and now he doesn't even go into his bag anymore. He's like, oh, no, I got punched in the face by Draymond, so I'm still dealing with that. But it's the simple facts that he did put that team on his back for them to be able to advance to the next round. And you brought it up just a little while ago, Rob. This is going to be an epic battle just because of the two people that are involved in it.
I can't wait.
And it's at 9:00 at night, by the way.
It's a Cali series.
Yeah. It's worth staying up. That's worth losing sleep over.
Yeah, it is.
Seeing LeBron versus Steph.
No, and I mean, this is when you have a player that's as good as Steph, it is funny that he can play a game that good and you just go, well, yeah, it's Steph.
Yep.
Like, I expect you can do this every game of the year if you wanted to because you can just shoot the ball so well. Yep. I was surprised at how many layups he missed in that game.
Right.
Just because he's normally one of those guys that no matter the contact, no matter whatever, he knows how to put it high off the glass and get him to go in. So he was missing layups, but then hitting everything else. It's a dominant performance, and you see why he's so good. And, this is, when we talk about final legacy, this is two guys now that get to have, a later career matchup that is on the legacy role of, if Golden State can, fight their way back to a finals after having the season they had and everybody counting them out, then that's the legacy of Steph Curry because it's going to be on his back.
Yep.
And they're going to be like, this was Steph's. Like, all of them are Steph's, but this one was, man, he didn't have anybody, and he just willed it himself.
No one.
And if LeBron can do it, then, wow, this guy's doing it 20 years in, and they had the season with all the injuries. It's a lot of legacy. The problem is, I don't know if either one of them can get through the other series.
After they wear each other out here?
I don't know.
Cannibalize each other?
Well, even if they go 4 games, I don't know if they're going to get through the other series because those other two teams are just head and shoulders better.
Suns are deep in Denver. Suns are deep. Their starting lineup is so prolific. And then the Nuggets are deep.
And I mean, you're talking about if Jamal Murray plays like Jamal Murray played in the last series, if we get that Jamal Murray, then you're talking about a generational talent in Jokic and then an all-star in Jamal Murray, or you're talking about generational talent in Kevin Durant and then a first-team All-NBAer in Devin Booker.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. It's a good point about we can't make too much out of the who the victors of this series because they're going to have a Herculean task ahead of them to try to beat either one of those teams you just mentioned. But I will say, man, it's in terms of legacy, because that's what we're looking at here. This is a great legacy series for Steph and LeBron. We just don't know who is going to add to their legacy, but it's a great legacy series for both of those guys.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it because of the fact of what LeBron was able to do to get to this point. Everybody was doubting him. Then they go out there and they smash We Good in the West, the Grizzlies, got called old, and then went out there and was able to perform at a very high level. And now he's going to go against Steph, who he pinned up against the glass, and they were able to go and beat them and slay the Dragon when they had the best record in the NBA, and for LeBron to win in Cleveland. And now these are two powers that are getting older. They've been around a while, and their team is led by each of them. They got other players. They've got complementary players because, remember, we were trying to think that Anthony Davis was going to be the guy that LeBron didn't have to carry this team.
Yeah.
But he still has to. So this is going to be a great series.
Yeah, we've had, 3 dynasties in kind of the recent era of the NBA, and LeBron has led kind of, it's a LeBron dynasty. It's not even really teams. It's LeBron.
Right. Exactly. And he's been in the middle of them all.
Yeah, and then you got the Warriors and the Spurs. And, LeBron just got, to win championships with 3 different teams as the marquee star.
Yep.
That's tough to do. I don't know how many stars have done that.
he's already done it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many stars have done that already.
Yeah.
In period. So I'm just saying, like, for LeBron, he's kind of a dynasty in himself. Like, he's not a team that he's been on. Like, he himself is kind of established. Like, no, where I go somewhere, I win titles. That's what I do.
Yep.
And then, of course, with Golden State and what Steph has done, they've been, a dominant dynasty too. And they've been able to reinvent themselves. That's the key to a dynasty too.
Yep. You got to
be
able
to reinvent yourself at
with
one
different
point.
pieces. But he still had the 3 main people with him. And Iguodala still is on that team, but he was standing on the sideline in street clothes, dapping him up when he was hitting threes. And I'm
crazy.
like, it's crazy to me that Iguodala is still on that squad and
Collecting
they use
checks.
him. Yes, and they use him kind of sparingly. He's almost become Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's almost become that one, but at least he's dressed out. Udonis is always dressed out.
He's a player coach.
Because he's ready to swing on somebody just in case things get a little chippy out there.
You're right. He's like a player coach. Now.
Yeah. So if you start thinking about this right now, if you were to lean one way or the other, who are you taking in this series right now?
Right now. Oh man.
I know, right? That's a tough breakdown.
Right now, I think I'd lean. Oh man, I think I'd lean Golden State, but it's tough.
It is tough.
It is tough. I have to do some more research to tell you exactly what the matchup wise who I like. I
Just
haven't done
naked
the
eye.
time.
Just naked eye.
I think I'm leading Golden State.
Okay, so here's the other part of it. How many times does LeBron and Draymond get tangled up? That's gonna happen. Because Draymond or him and AD.
He one of the stars.
Exactly.
Draymond's gonna get tangled up with one of your stars.
And then he's gonna be clapping all loud and talking all that trash. Probably get a tech. Probably get kicked out. And then it's gonna be going back to that series that we talked about before. He's gonna be like, "Oh man, we'd have won it if I didn't get kicked out."
Yeah, but think about it though. Domantas Sabonis was never the same after Draymond kicked him in the chest. His game totally changed. Like
Until the last game.
I will tell you.
Until the last game, he had a decent game.
You know what helped him?
He was taken out of his game, which was strange.
He was.
You could argue Draymond, even though he sacrificed himself to a certain extent, that it did help the team.
It did. I mean, I think that there was going to be issues with it too, but he didn't. He was better when Looney hit him in the face. So he just got to get hit again, and it reset it. But when Looney didn't get a foul called, when he elbowed him in the eye.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
On the jump ball,
he
went with his outside arm for the jump ball and hit him with the inside.
And they said he does that a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, that should be a foul, right?
I was like, Looney, he does that sometimes. I was like, he does that sometimes.
That's like every game. He does it every game.
But
awkward.
But then he was like, then he got that fire back in and was like, they're beating me up. I should play some basketball.
That's the point. He had that cut underneath his eyes.
And then he fouled out of that game with a busted eye. How you foul out and you got the busted eye?
Did you hear that Draymond was upset that Domantas Sabonis did not shake hands with him in the handshake line after?
He's always upset about something.
It's like, dude, you kicked him in the chest.
You kicked him in the chest.
Come on, man. You kicked me in the chest. You want me to come shake your hand? Yep. Oh, I love it. All right, coming up in Hard Stock Light, what you got for the people?
We got my man Stan Norfleet. He's going to talk about the Houston Texans and what their draft looked like to him and what is expected. Patrick, you back, bro. You are back.
We got lots of questions about the Texans, so we'll talk about that when we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie. I want to 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge for PestWranglers.com. Make sure you go to PestWranglers.com so you can have all your pest control needs. Pest Wranglers is locally owned and small family business that's been around since 2006. You know when that was, national championship, baby. And its basic principle of great customer service leads to happy customers. The company was started by the owner who was tired of companies that didn't know how to treat employees and their customers right. You know, if I'm working with them, they have to be doing things the right way. Pest Wranglers service most of the Central Texas area, and if you are needing help with mosquitoes, termites, rodent control, and inspections for residential and commercial properties, please give them a call at 512-670-7808 or go to the website at pestwranglers.com. The weather's been kind of rough out here, so you know that rodents are trying to hide and trying to find their ways. Make sure you give them a call, and they will come out and help you out. Pest Wranglers won't make you sign a contract because they know that if they keep their customers happy, they will be happy. 5-star ratings on Google, Yelp, and Angie's List, and of course, all other referral sites. Go to pestwranglers.com. And my pest of the week, the Philadelphia Eagles. You know why? Because they went to the Super Bowl last year and they keep getting better. That's right. They are now the pest of the NFC. Go to pestwranglers.com. That is pestwranglers.com. Welcome back to a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy, Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man, Rod Babers, at Rod Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show, so hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And joining us right now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, you can hear him on Next Up, weekdays from 10 to 12 on Sports Talk 790 in H-Town. You can follow him on Twitter at Stan Sportsman on Twitter as well. My man Stan Norfleet. Stan, what's going on, brother?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. What's going on, Austin, Texas?
That's right, man. I had to get you back in the ATX, man. I wanted to get you on because we've been sitting here talking about it. So just for personal reference, my man Patrick Davis, who's the producer of this show, he used to be a Texans fan until the draft just happened, and now he's back on the Texans bandwagon. My man Rod Babers is from H-Town, and he is a huge Texans fan, but he's been kind of quiet. He's the only one that watches the Texans around here because everybody's been a little upset. Now, can we get everybody back on the Houston Texans bandwagon after this past draft?
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you, just because in the spirit of being back in H-Town, I'm going to send the bandwagon over to you. We're going to grab you. We're going to stop at the Galleria for a second. We're going to get over here off West Side. I'm going to load up that wagon. Then we're going to shoot down West Side, and we're going to cut over through Midtown, and I'll drop you off over there at NRG, courtesy of Stan Fleet, D'Amico Ryans, and Nick Caserio. The boys was in the kitchen cooking over the weekend. Come on back, Texans, bright, bright future.
I like it.
I like that. I like that right there. That's what I want to hear.
Drinking that Kool-Aid.
Got to drink the Kool-Aid. We got to sip it up. And one of the reasons why we are sipping it up, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Obviously, at the end of last season, everybody was upset. Lovie Smith going out and getting a win when all they had to do was take that loss, and then it would have been okay for them, and everybody would have been happy with the Bryce Young pick. I kept saying, I don't know.
No, everybody wouldn't have been happy.
See, that's what I wanted to know. That's exactly what I want to know.
Everybody wouldn't have been happy.
So do you think that they got the right one?
I think they got the better quarterback. And I want, because someone asked me this. I've been doing radio hits all day, God bless. But somebody asked me this earlier. So, like, Stan, wait a minute. Make this make sense to me. And this is where people go at the Kuipers and the McShays and those folks. Listen, I think Bryce was the better collegiate quarterback. That's different than who I think game translates to Sundays. Having played on Saturday and trying to play on Sunday, it's two different worlds. I don't want a mini-me out there trying to compete against those big, fast, strong men on Sunday. I like big boys, grown men from a football standpoint. I like quarterbacks that are 6'3", 6'4", and up. I believe Bryce's game translates better. So I wouldn't have gave a bleep if the Texans had the number one pick. I wasn't picking Bryce. I do hope the brother plays well, and I want him to be successful. Just not when he's playing against the Texans.
That's a good point, Stan. And also, you know, Texans shook up the draft by trading back up into the first round to get Will Anderson. I thought it was a very decisive move, a bold move by the Texans. A lot of people believe the Texans might have given up too much to make that trade happen. What are your thoughts about the draft capital they gave up to draft at 2 and 3 overall?
All right, gentlemen, I know we all conscious of the time. I do the same thing on my show, but give me a little bit of layout right here. You know, being single here in Houston is a beautiful thing. It allows me to explore different opportunities. Sometimes I want to trade up. Sometimes I want to trade back. Sometimes I want to stay where I'm at. You understand? But one thing I can't be consumed with is if I can't be worried about what my ex is doing and who she going to go be with. I can't be worried about had I made a commitment to this woman and she doesn't work out, who she goes on to be with. I got to worry about me. And that's what Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans decided. The Arizona Cardinals are not in the AF South and they're not in the AFC. So who gives a bleep what next year's first rounder from Houston turns into? I don't care. What I care about is getting two pillars of the refresh of this organization, and they've done that. Let me walk you through what this deal is. Don't worry about how the deal looks. Let's drill down on what the deal is. This isn't trading up essentially multiple ones and a 3 to get an edge defender, even though, by the way, Will Anderson Jr. might be the cleanest prospect in this entire draft. 2-time unanimous All-American, 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year. We already know off the field, playing for saving life. We're not going to question that. Certifiable baller. And I doubt that there's going to be a defender in next year's draft that they would have taken in the first round with the pick better than Will Anderson. So what they did was actually brilliant. They said, let's get the quarterback at 2 to make the Raiders go away, to make the Titans go away, to make the Indianapolis Colts go away, to make the Seattle Seahawks go away. So now with quarterback 2 off the board, now we got to discuss Arizona about climbing back into this third spot for a defender. And that's where you put the capital. Last part on that, this is no different than what they did for what San Fran did to go get Trey Lance. They went from 12 up to 3 with Miami. This is actually a better deal. So when you look at it from a combination standpoint, for the Trey Lance deal, they got C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. It wasn't expensive at all. And Caserio got back in the kitchen on Saturday, and he got back the third-round pick that he sent. So it's like at the end of the day, they ended up getting C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. for the Texans second, next year's Texans first, this year's number 33 overall pick. I call that a win from a Houston standpoint.
I like that. I like the way you broke that down, and I love the passion behind how you explained it to bring it all down. So we're talking.
Yeah. You know, you got to say it with
you got to say it with your chest. That's right. You got to say it with your chest. Make sure y'all check my man out. Go to @StanSportsman on his Twitter. He's part of the Sports Talk 790 lineup. He's the host of Next Up on weekdays 10 to 12 in H-Town. Now let's talk about the rest of this draft. We know everybody's excited about the number 2 overall and the number 3 overall pick. But let's get to this offensive line. There's some picks that were out there. You went out there and got a wide receiver. You got an edge rusher. You got a linebacker. You've done a lot. The one pick that I was most excited about, and I'm glad that he went to you guys, was Xavier Hutchinson out of Iowa State. I thought he was one of those wide receivers that can make a big difference and can come in and play right away, because I think he was an underrated player. We saw him a lot in the Big 12. He was one of the most explosive players in the league. So I think that him falling to you guys at that pick, obviously other teams were going to probably get him a little bit later too in the next round, but I think he's going to be something that's going to be impactful. What is the thought of Xavier Hutchinson there in H-Town?
To your point, I thought Zay Hutch was a value pick. Lance Zierlein of NFL Network or NFL.com, he's a Houstonian. He has Zay going somewhere in the 5th or 6th round, so this is about right. So D'Amico and right, it's so weird. The Texans had 9 picks. Caserio and D'Amico made trades to get 8 of them, trading up to get Nathaniel Tank Dell right here from H-Town over there at U of H. So they got their mini-me. They got their scatter guy, their slot guy. They needed a bigger-bodied receiver. So here comes Xavier Hutchinson, 6'2", 203 pounds, led the Big 12 in reception. All 3 years he's been there balling. Junior college transfer out of where Cam Newton went over there where they make Bluebell ice cream at. Blinn Junior College, taking care of his business. 3rd most catches in the FBS this past year. 11th most yards in the FBS this past year. A Biletnikoff Award finalist. You start adding it all up, and it's like, wait a minute. Oh, I've left this part out. AP All-American. You start adding it up, you're like, well, what is he doing here in the 6th round? The issue is, and I love the versatility, he can line up to the boundary and play the X. He can come in motion as a Z. He can line up to the field at the Y. So he can do everything. But therein lies the issue. He's jack of all trades, master of none. Yep. And so what I'm hoping Bobby Slowick can do with him, although this offense, if you think about what Kyle Shanahan does and what he's doing over there in San Francisco, I'm hoping they can find a home for him and he can learn the craft. You guys understand this as ex-athletes, It's a whole bunch of dudes that can run real fast and they're going in the wrong direction. It's a whole bunch of dudes that's built like Tarzan and play like Jane. It's a whole bunch of dudes that get out there and the lights get too bright. Can you hone everything down? And this is where coaching and develop is so paramount. In this league, when you're a late-round draft choice, and I was not fortunate enough to be drafted, but I do know when they're evaluating you as an undrafted free agent or you're late in the draft, you got to be able to put your flag in the sand on something. Coach, you can count on me to do this every day. Hutchinson has had some drops. That is something that came up. His footwork, not the greatest. That is something that came up. But there's enough there given the competition he played against, given the size, given the versatility. I'm okay with this pick. And you didn't have to trade anything exorbitant to get him.
Hey, Stan, what are your thoughts about Dylan Horton, the defensive end that the Texans drafted out of TCU? It's a guy that hadn't been playing defensive end very long. I think he's been playing defensive end about 3 years, but really made an impact at TCU after switching from safety. I believe he originally got his scholarship as a safety coming out of high school. What are your thoughts about DeMeco Ryans' vision for Dylan Horton?
So Dylan Horton is one that's a bit controversial for me, and I said as much on our show today. So Dylan Horton was born here in HTX. Family moved over there to North Dallas. The brother came out of Frisco. Originally commits to SMU. They have a coaching change. He actually goes to New Mexico. So that's where the safety piece kicks in. While he was transitioning, from New Mexico to TCU, somewhere in there the man added 50, 60 pounds. The boy got huge. And so I'm like, all right. So now you bring DB athleticism to a finesse scheme that Dykes and them are running over there in Fort Worth at TCU, and now he's got the body at 6'4". Some people are saying he plays at 275. Other people are saying he's 257. I'm like, okay, all that's great. He was ranked the number 16 edge defender in this draft. He's got first step quicks. It's kind of like what I said against Hutch. He's not fundamentally sound. He doesn't really have true defensive lineman instincts. He's relying a lot right now on athleticism. As a former edge defender, you better be nice with your hands because that's your weapon. And your feet, that's one thing, but you got to know how to ward off guys. You got to understand leverage. You got to give yourself a fighting chance against men that weigh 60, 70, 80 pounds more than you. He's going to learn that. Here's my one issue. I looked at this and went, now, wait a minute, DeMeco. You mean you were willing to trade to get Dylan Horton at 109, but the very next pick was Adetomiwa Adebawore out of Northwestern, who destroyed the combine at 6'2", 282 pounds, ran 4.49, and was the number 6 rated edge defender. So if you were looking for kind of a contrast to what Will Anderson Jr. is, more of a sleek, finesse, if you will, edge defender. If you needed a big boy that also had wheels, and if they both are predicated on potential, why didn't you go with Adebawore out of Northwestern? I had to ask DeMeco and Caserio about that rhetorically because they were out doing GM and head coach stuff, but I raised that point on my show. So I am not as high. I was not as high on Dylan Horton as some folks are.
That's interesting. I like that. I like that about the hands, too, because you got to be nice with them hands on the outside. Before we let you go, I want to ask you this. With all the moves that were made and all the expectations that are out there with this team, what are you expecting to happen this season with this Houston Texans football team? Obviously, we know that they're obviously not tanking anymore. They got their quarterback. They got their pick. Now they got an opportunity to get better right away. There's so much change in that division, so there's a lot of opportunity there. What are your expectations just on the surface? And I'll let you retract it later on in the year right before the season starts. So I'm not going to hold you to it, but I am going to listen to it.
Let me find out they keep receipts in Austin, too. I see what's going on here. So, all right, in all seriousness, check it. Like, the Texans have told us what they're trying to do. Look what they did in free agency. There's Robert Woods. They get Noah Brown from Dallas at wide receiver spots. There's Dalton Schultz, a starting tight end they got from Dallas. Here comes Shaq Mason, the former two-time Super Bowl champion he is. Let's solidify that right guard spot. They went out and got Michael Dieter, a gentleman that has started at center down there in Miami in a Kyle Shanahan offense with Mike McDaniel. So there's somebody that adds some depth and can compete at the starting center spot. We go on defense. Jimmy Ward. There's Denzel Perryman, a Pro Bowler 2 years ago in his own right from Las Vegas. There's Corey Littleton coming over from Carolina. Sheldon Rankins comes down from the Jets. You add that up with Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., likely Juice Scruggs coming over from Penn State in the second round to play center. The Texans are telling you, they think they can go win right now. And every year in this league, we see about a handful of teams that didn't make the playoff the year before that make it the following year. Conversely, a handful of teams are going to fall out. I'm not ready to say that the Texans are going to the playoffs. What I am going to say is don't be surprised if this team doesn't double or triple the win total from a year ago. I believe in DeMeco Ryans. I believe in his staff. Are there going to be some growing pains and some turbulence along the way? Of course it is. It is for everybody. Hell, Bill Belichick got fired. There's going to be some turbulence along the way. But I think the infrastructure and the ballers that they've implemented and the type of individuals that they've implemented, the football culture and character that these men are bringing to NRG, Houston Texans are going to hover around 500 at a minimum, something, 8, 9, 9, and 8, somewhere in there. And then the ball bounces that way, especially with them playing some of the weaker opponents. AFC South, I believe they play, I forget who else they play, but the AFC South and the NFC South, that's what I was trying to get to. This is going to be a good team this year. They'll be competitive for sure.
I like it. I like it. Houston Texans fans, rejoice. My boys are in here smiling. They looking at it and trying to figure it out. They're going to probably go back and look at all this, the numbers and who they're playing and try to balance it out. But like I said, I ain't going to hold it to you just yet. I'll be back to regroup with you and find out. I do keep a little bit of receipts around here. Stan, you're the man, man. I appreciate you jumping on with us. Go follow him at Stan Sportsman. He's the host of Next Up, weekdays 10 to 12 down there on Sports Talk 790. Stan, we appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Stan.
Brother, appreciate y'all. Peace to you.
All right. There he is. He bringing a lot of energy for them Houston Texan fans
He's
down
selling
there.
that Kool-Aid.
He is, man.
He's selling that
He's got
Kool-Aid.
us sipping on it, right?
Yeah, no, man. I'll sip. He said hovering around 500.
Yep.
That's his goal.
That's a good start.
That's a great start. They can hover around 500. That'd
That's
be
right.
7-8 wins. That'd be really big for the Texans.
So we'll have to look at that schedule game where I think they're coming out next Thursday.
Oh,
is
that's
what
right.
the target
That's right.
is for the
That's
schedule
right.
release. So
Yeah. In that division alone, if you're gonna win 8 games, you got to try to at least win half of that in your division.
Yeah,
I mean,
'Cause
there's
you ain't
two.
go-
Hey, there's 2 teams you can beat, and then one that's tough.
Well, 2 you think you can beat.
No, 2 you can. No, I'm not saying you will. I'm saying you can beat. You can beat Jacksonville too, but that one's a lot rougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't trust them beating Jacksonville.
Yeah,
They-
that's
they-
a
the
different
Colts-
squad now.
Well, we'll see how the Colts' new quarterback looks.
Yeah.
And how
Anthony
quickly he's
Richardson,
going to play.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, I like the Kool-Aid, though. I'll drink some of that Kool-Aid.
Sip on it.
I'll sip on it for a while. All right,
right.
we'll come back. We'll get into the off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that time is money, and both of them are very precious. And my friends at Alpo Leasing, they know that all too well. They want to make sure they save you both. They're going to save your time, save your money, and find you great value. We know the car market these days can be a bit of a labyrinth. It can be very confusing and frustrating, and Alpo Leasing wants to walk you through every step of the process to make sure that you are getting the most bang for your buck. Customer satisfaction is their top priority. That's why they're doing business here in Austin for almost 40 years. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. They can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car you want, and all it takes is one simple phone call. And my man Harge knows all about that.
No doubt about it. And as someone who has been listening to every one of my friends talk about Alpo Leasing, I had to try it myself, and that's exactly what I did. Not only have I gotten one car from there, I've gotten 3 cars from there, and they make everything so easy. Whether it's Scott Crossick, Jeff Holly, or even Chris Andre, they make everything so easy. And everybody always wants to talk about the lease mileage. What's the limit? Do I get in trouble if I terminate my lease early? No, at Alpo Leasing, you don't have to worry about any of that. They will walk you through the process and make sure that you, the customer, get everything that you're asking for. That's the beautiful part about it. Like I said, you hear Scott Crossett talking about not only are the parents leasing cars, so are the kids. And I can't wait to send my kids over there to Alpo Leasing. If you want to be a part of that, go to AppleLeasing.com and they will walk you through it. They got the easy button. We all love easy buttons, and that's why we choose Alpo Leasing. Go to AppleLeasing.com today. That is AppleLeasing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Couple of items here because we're up against it for Off the Record. I figure this is kind of on the record, but still something people need to know. Jim Vertuno tweeted out, Texas Regents this week will also approve demolition of the Frank Erwin Center. The drum. It's going to start at a cost of $25 million.
Hello.
The plans call for October 2024 completion. So by October 2024, gentlemen, the drum will be no more.
I know this. I want to see it.
You want to see the
demolition? Yes, I do.
Oh, you want to see the demolition?
Yes.
Okay.
I wonder if they're going to be selling tickets because they sell tickets for everything. So they're going to try to figure out a way to get it done.
Texas will find a way to profit off the demolition of the Erwin Center. No, you're probably right about that, Harge.
Yeah,
honestly.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's like I'm sure there will be some historical celebrations, some like the sentimental celebrations,
for sure.
Before then that'll go down in the Erwin Center. But I'm glad they're tearing it down because I don't want it to become what the Astrodome has kind of become in H-Town. Astrodome is kind of an eyesore; it just sits there, and they still won't tear it down.
Why is that?
Because I believe
historical.
Right now, no, actually, yes. Because there is a group that wants it to be kind of historical piece, and they want to. Essentially, they want to kind of reinvent it. They'd like to somehow find a way to repurpose the Astrodome.
Yep.
But I believe now it's more of a hazard to destroy it.
Yeah.
To demolish it more than anything because it's so close to everything.
Yeah, to everything.
Exactly. You've seen it. It's like right there.
It's right in the middle of everything.
It has kind of it's kind of an eyesore to the city, and you don't want the Frank Erwin Center to be that.
Yeah.
Demolish it, be done with it, move on. And so, what would you? Is there anything you would take from the Erwin Center that you would go try to have as a collector's item from the Erwin Center? They'll probably have a sale or an auction.
Do they still have liquor and alcohol in their beer? In there?
You can find that outside the Erwin Center. But usually when they destroy or demolish a historical place, especially a sports historical arena or venue, sometimes they'll auction off items from the venue itself, and I wonder if they'll do that.
That's true.
They'll do seats and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be cool to own some seats.
Yeah, no, the Astrodome did that too, and I want to say we bought some from the old Candlestick Park, like my mother-in-law has seats, a row of seats. And I want to say it was their row that family used to sit at Candlestick Park. And that was a big thing
dope, though.
Yeah. So I wonder if you can do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would definitely be pretty cool. But where would you put it? I mean, I guess your mother-in-law had a big enough house.
Yeah, they got a basement and everything like that. Yeah, they have
because they live up north, right?
Yeah, they got basements up north.
That's right.
They don't got basements.
Right.
Not a lot of people do. Some of y'all might have basements.
Yeah, they're called a hideaway. We need to check your crib if you got one here in Austin.
Yeah, a safe room, whatever you want to call it, something like that. But yeah, some people got basements like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool if they had an auction for some of the stuff. People would buy it.
Yeah.
I would. I'd buy some stuff out of it.
I like that.
All right. Well, that's news about the Erwin Center being demolished. We come back. We talking NFL draft, ladies and gentlemen. We will get into the Cowboys and the Texans. Just talk about the Texans. So we'll start with the Cowboys because we just talked Texans with my man Stan. So we'll talk Cowboys and we'll talk about the Texas Longhorns that were drafted, and then Rod's rant of the day. We're going back in time. A little history lesson in Rod's rant of the day. We'll talk about that coming up right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Local and Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my good friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. We know that Austin is a beautiful city thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. As the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. development. Ironworkers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now for a huge project. That's a really big project. And you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. So you can maximize your potential and be your best self today by simply applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. This one had Harge feeling a certain kind of way.
Man, having catching a little bit of emotions
that was
right there. You know what I'm saying?
that was a hardball karaoke going in here before we officially came back on air. One day we're just going to turn his mic on, Patrick, and let everybody hear Harge going hard. Play a song you know Harge going to have to jam out to, and just don't tell him.
Is that the Hargeoke?
The Hargeoke.
Yeah.
There it is. That's right.
Harge is your jam right here, obviously.
That is, boy.
Okay.
Boy.
Yeah, because you was.
This is Teddy right here. Wait,
Teddy,
when he hit it right here, when Teddy hit it right here. Here we go. Watch him. When we argue, fuss, and fight. Oh,
yeah. See, I told y'all. We're going to do it. Yeah. I like what Patrick already named it and everything. We're definitely going to make that happen one day with Arch. Because he just feeling real good about his voice until we make it public knowledge.
I love it.
For public consumption, if you will. All right. Having a good time here on Ball Don't Lie. You can always be a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, please. Your participation means everything to us. 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Hard's at Hardball. Ball Hard in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis, the real MVP at It's Patrick Davis. And I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, gentlemen, let's start with the Cowboys, and then we'll make our way to Longhorns who were drafted. Talk about the Cowboys draft, then the Longhorns who were drafted. Anything we don't finish, we can finish up in Rod's Rant today. Also, I got a history lesson about the NFL draft in Rod's Rant of the day as well. So we'll do that and continue our draft discussion. Cowboys, though, we talked about the Mazi Smith pick, but we can still get into that even more if you guys would like to. But overall, what grade would you give your Dallas Cowboys draft this past weekend, Harch? Overall,
I would give them B.
Okay,
I would give them a B.
That's fair.
You know, because
I thought I like that. I thought you were going to be too harsh. Or I thought you were going to be too positive.
No, I would never. I'm more on the harsh side than the positive side. But I'm gonna go ahead and look at them, and I'm gonna give them a solid B. Obviously, the first round pick, Mazi Smith, was the question mark for me initially. But then you go back and you do some research on him, and you hear the conversations about why they went with him. You understand it, the impact. You've been giving us the numbers and the run defense versus the when you do have a guy like Jonathan Hankins in there
to do it.
versus when he's not there. And then you can bring in a guy that can get to the quarterback as well as control the line of scrimmage. You had to make that move. Obviously, the second-round pick was something that I was kind of, I'm okay with.
You don't like the Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end from Michigan. You're not a fan.
I didn't.
You thought they could have got better value.
Yeah, I think they could have got a different one, but there were some flags on some other players. And, again, he may be somebody that can come in and block right away and do some good things. As you talked about, you played at Michigan. You got to be able to block.
Hardball.
Yeah, you got to be able to block.
Hardball tight ends can block.
Yeah, you're going to definitely be able to block. And I'm already been a big fan of Ferguson and Hendershot. That's just another piece that they can add to it. Ferguson,
everybody likes him. I remember, was it Travis Kelce? You told me about that tweet Travis Kelce put out there talking about he's a big fan.
Yes,
of Jake
because I
Ferguson.
think he's more of a Travis Kelce type. Now, I didn't say he was going to be Travis Kelce. I said he's more of a Travis Kelce type.
I'll take a Travis Kelce type all day.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean?
And he's going to be effective. Yeah. But here's the deal. What is Dak going to do? What is the scheme? Because what did Mike McCarthy say? We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. But I definitely have to have that safety net. And I think Ferguson can be that safety net for him. And then you put in
Dalton
Luke.
Schultz was his favorite target.
Exactly. And you've talked about the fact of the 12 personnel that the Cowboys like to run.
31% of the time.
Yes.
They run two tight ends.
So here's another guy that you'll be able to run out there and be a part of what you're expecting to happen. Obviously, DeMarvion was one that I've been a big fan of Agent Zero since the day he got on campus, and I'm glad to see that he's going to be playing for my Dallas Cowboys. The Deuce Vaughn pick I thought was going to be good. I think he's going to be an effective piece for the success. They did go out and get a cornerback in Eric Scott.
They did. Yeah, we can talk about that.
I'm still kind of
Southern Miss product.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what is it that they see
They
in
like
him.
his wingspan. I'll give you a little nugget about it because I was thinking the same thing. That he's the third longest wingspan of any cornerback in the draft. Julius Branch, the corner that came out of K-State, who we both liked.
Yep.
And Joey Porter Jr.
I love Joey Porter Jr.
Cornerback to a longer wingspan. You know Dan Quinn, coming from his Legion of Boom days, he loves length, long, rangy corners, right? He those Richard Sherman, those Cam Chancellor, you talking about all that. Those DBs are really long, everybody except for Earl Thomas, really.
Right.
A long, rangy DB.
That's right.
He's the only guy that was kind of short and stout.
Joey Browner was big.
Exactly.
Too.
But that guy could cover sideline to sideline as a middle field safety. So I think he just likes the length. Think about Israel Makiyamu.
Yep.
Think about Nashawn Wright. He loves long DBs.
Yep.
And I think that's why he was attracted to him.
So that works for me. And that's why I give those guys a B.
Yeah, and that was somewhat more confusing too because they actually traded it back up for that. They go up a 2024 fifth-round pick to get that pick. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one that they must have really liked because they did decide to go back and get him. It seems as if maybe there was a conversation when they had the pick for Asim Richards right before that maybe they were thinking going one or the other, and if he stayed there long enough, they could pull off the trade and get 2 fifth-rounders that they felt pretty good about.
Yeah.
That's a great point there. And, you know, I don't know, does it seem like to anyone else that the Cowboys have decided that they're going to win a Super Bowl with the defense as their identity, based on the offseason and now this draft?
Yep.
That And
Fair.
maybe that was part of the Will McClay pitch as well. And it's like, guys, I remember you had Goose Goslin on. I remember asking him the question. I said, listen, there are two ways to win the Super Bowl: elite quarterback or elite pass rush / dominant defense. Cowboys are closer to being a Super Bowl competitor with the latter.
Yes.
More so than the former. Goose Goslin agreed. That was prior to last season. Now it seems like even Mike McCarthy with his comment about, no, we're going to run the ball, control the. Remember, he literally mocked Kellen Moore in what we thought was almost a kind of a ridiculous mock, if you will. He made fun of him essentially for scoring too many points but not winning enough games.
Right.
And we're like, well, trying to score a lot of
Well,
points
trying to
and
do
win
some
these
things,
games. That's
man.
usually
Yeah.
that helps you win games. But he's talking about controlling the game and being able to control the line of scrimmage, and you do that by running the football. And I think that's why that's part of them. They're coming to the realization that, guys, we're going to win with our defense. Our defense actually is the most elite part of our football team.
Yep. Let's
double down on that. And they did this offseason, and it seems like they did it again in the draft.
Well, that's the Cowboys for you, right?
Right.
That's just the way that they go about it. And sometimes you sit there and you're like, huh?
We all expected in the
Just
draft.
like what you said about Kellen Moore. The object is to score more points than the other team, but yet you're talking about he just want to run it up. I want to run the ball. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I thought we wanted to win ball games. I don't care how we win them.
Yeah, but I understand what Mike McCarthy was saying, because Mike McCarthy's saying, I want to
Slap the clock.
essentially, I want to reduce because basically they were a high risk, high reward offense last year. Yep. I don't want to reduce the risk and keep the high reward. Higher reward, but a lower risk, because that was Dak last year, right? He was too risky with the football. And I think that's where the running game comes in, helping Dak out a lot and minimizing the risk. I'm not saying I agree with it or it's going to work, but I'm just saying that's the draft tells me that, and the offseason tells me that.
Yeah. That
they have now decided, no, we're going to win with defense. Slow the game down. Keep the defense fresh.
Keep them fresh because they got it.
They're going to win the game for us.
Yep.
I'm concerned, though, because they don't think they have a bell cow running back. I love the Deuce Vaughn pick. Listen, Deuce Vaughn, man, the stats on if you look at since 2020, from 2020 to 2022, nobody's had more yards overall, all-purpose yards and yards from scrimmage than Deuce Vaughn.
Not at all. Not even close.
Not even close. He is a machine.
Yes.
I mean, of productivity. And every level he's played on, he's produced. And not only just produced, he's excelled, I should say. Not just produced, excelled at every level he's been on. And had to play, in elite levels of Texas high school football. We know how competitive it is. Had to play in the Power 5, in the Big 12 at K-State. We know how competitive the Big 12 is. And yet he's excelled at each of those. There's no doubt in my mind, guys. Of the Cowboys picks, I would say he's one of my top 3 favorite picks they made this year. My favorite is the Mozzie Smith pick.
Yep.
Just doing the research. I love the pick. And I love the DeMarvion Overshown pick. We were talking about it on the show. We went over it ad nauseum that Dan Quinn really liked. He really liked Overshown. Met him at the Combine. Even had a visit with him after that. He's a big advocate of positionless football. DeMarvion Overshown fits positionless football to a T. He's the epitome of it.
Yep.
And they brought him in. So I love that pick, too, for the Cowboys. But I also love this Deuce Vaughn pick. I love it. Those are my, no question, because they all fit needs for the Cowboys.
Yes.
They specifically fit needs the Cowboys have, and I love those players going into the draft for the Cowboys. Yes, the tight end position and the second round, that surprised me a little bit. I'm going to go with giving the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt on the Luke Schoonmaker pick. But there's no doubt.
Hey, that's what if I say when Mozzie Smith got picked? Hey, Will McClay said it was good. Mama call him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. I'm rolling with it.
Well, the Mozzie Smith thing just makes sense. Like, people who aren't keeping up with the NFL, they may look at that pick and go, why would you pick D tackle that high in the first round? That's not a great value. It's not a premium position, which it is not. That you can certainly argue that. But if you're looking at the NFL this year, your teams ran for over 121.6 yards on average this year per game. That is the highest average in rushing yards per team per game since 1987. Teams average 4.5 yards per carry. That's the highest average rushing yards per carry in the history of the NFL.
Yep.
By the way, Black Stradamus actually predicted this would happen. It's crazy enough because it's not that I predicted it would happen because I see the future or anything like that. No, it was simple football theory. It was watching the Big 12 and watching the way the Big 12 evolved in the ecosystem of the Big 12. Remember, the Big 12 was at one point it was a basically a space and pace league, a spread league, and the air raid turned it into a kind of a pace and space league, a spread league, and the evolutionary adaptation by defenses to these teams spreading them out and throwing the football over the place and becoming these high-powered, high-octane passing offenses was to back their safeties up. Backed up their safeties 2 deep and 3 deep even. As I would say, they went 3 deep safeties. Well, what the Big 12 turned into? A running league. It became a running league, all right, basically that was kind of cross-dressing as a passing league. People thought it was a passing league. No, teams would spread you out, but then they would run. And that's what we are now because it's a running league. Why? Well, because I have the numbers advantage. You're going to back your safeties up. I'm going to have the numbers advantage in the box, and we're going to run the football. The NFL has just become – they went through the same progression, the same evolution. Right, the NFL for a while became a Big 12 passing league. Remember, everybody mocked the NFL. Oh, it looks like the Big 12. It looks like the Big 12. In response to that, all the defenses backed their safeties up. 2 deep, 3 deep. That's why Patrick Mahomes had 1 deep passing touchdown this year. 1. He had 1 deep passing touchdown over 20 yards. Only 1. Isn't that crazy? When he led the NFL in deep touchdown passes the last couple of years. Because why would I going to work harder? I can work smarter. If you're going to back your safeties up, we're just going to throw underneath. Boom. We're going to work the middle. We're going to work the underneath. Work the quick game. And now Josh Allen went through the same thing. And now teams are deciding we're just going to run the football. You're going to back those safeties up. We're going to run the football. It's the same evolution the Big 12 went through. This is football theory, people. This is it. This is when you can just look at a certain set of principles or a certain kind of sample size of whether it be a conference or a certain ecosystem of football, and then it can be applied elsewhere. The NFL is going exactly where the Big 12 went. And now the NFL is becoming a running league again. You know, it's going to be a passing league for the most part. It's always going to be that now. But it is now, you can see the NFL now starting to rely more on the running game. That's why in 2022, teams average over 5 yards per carry on power and counter. They're running that more, which is why Keandre Coburn gets drafted ahead of Amora Ojimo, which is why the Cowboys draft Amazi Smith in the first round. They go, dude, teams are running the rock. We built this damn defense to stop the pass. We got 3 safeties we're playing. We got hybrid defenders all over the damn place. We got elite pass rushers, and teams are deciding, man, you know what? Every time we throw the ball against the Cowboys, man, that pass rush is just lethal. It's suffocating. Let's just run the ball. Okay. What's the weakness of Michael Parsons? Run the ball. You got 3 safeties on the field. What's their weakness? Run the ball. And they ran the ball on them. That's why you draft Mazi Smith.
Wow.
It all makes perfect sense. So if you can criticize the Mazi Smith, you're not paying attention. You got to be paying attention.
You got to be paying attention. And you also got to look at the strength that he brings. We talked about it last week. Bruce Feldman, freak. He's an unbelievable athlete.
He's the strongest guy in the draft.
Exactly.
So one of them dudes.
He's one of those guys. And it's not talking about the verticality. It's not talking about any of that. What do we talk about with linemen? Hands. You got to be able to move people, turn people. And if you could grab someone and throw them out of the way with that strength,
which he can do,
it's perfect timing.
And which they're going to need because and we all know Philadelphia Eagles, exactly, right? They perfected this souped-up version of the quarterback sneak, the tush push. And if you want to stop that, the only way to stop it is right at the point of attack. And even the Cowboys are getting pushed around there. They decide a team with a 90% conversion rate on quarterback sneaks and a 93% success rate on quarterback sneaks. They gotta have a solution for that. Mazi Smith is that solution. So I love the pick the Cowboys made. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. Yeah, because it just makes so much damn sense.
And you're making everybody from Cowboy fans like this. They smiling.
Yeah,
they smiling.
You should be.
Yep.
I mean, this guy. Hell, he did 22 reps on the bench of 325.
Not 225, which is the
325
standard operating procedure there. He put another 100 on it.
No, man. It's 225. That's too light. I might do it 50 times. I'm going to do it 325. 22 times.
Unbelievable.
So that, like I said, that pick, money in the bank. And I love the DeMarvion Overshown pick, like I said, too. If you look at Dan Quinn's, his vision for his team, positionless football is the way he wants to go. That's the future of football. He is way ahead of his time. They are the most, in my opinion, they are the most modern positionless football defense in the NFL. I think San Francisco has the most modern positionless football offense in the NFL. Dan Quinn's defense is the defensive version of that. And I don't think it's a coincidence they both were together at one time. I think they sat out and started talking about the future of football and went and had the same conversation I had with Channel and went, dude, the future of football is positionless football.
Yep.
We just ain't got enough people that can do it. But if you can find them freaks, Put him out there.
Because they out there.
They out there.
They out there.
So Marvin Overshown, perfect spot for him, man. He's got a coach that has a vision for him and how to weaponize him, so he couldn't have ended up in a better spot. And the other pick for the Cowboys that I thought was a little interesting, and we didn't talk a ton about it really, Junior Fihoko, the defensive end out of San Jose State.
Yep.
He actually doesn't even fit the scheme that Dan Quinn runs a lot of. He's a kind of a 3-4 DN. Dan Quinn likes more of a 4-3 style, but he's multiple. And it's kind of this pick may show you that Dan Quinn's truly a multiple defensive coordinator in terms of how he wants to call his defenses, because this guy is an athlete. He can wreak havoc. He's a guy that
his
can
cousin's
penetrate
on the team too
and disrupt. Are they Fihoko?
Yeah.
Oh, they really receivers?
They're cousins. Yeah.
I did not know that they were
Yeah,
cousins.
because as soon as he got drafted, he said, "Welcome to the team, cousin."
Okay.
Yep.
Man, kinfolk, huh?
Yep. Got to make it happen.
I like I like him because he's just a disruptor. I wonder if Dan Quinn's looking at him as just raw material, raw clay. I'll
Right.
mold him into something.
6'4", 6'4",
Exactly.
coming off the edge. Yeah,
Got
he
you,
might
'cause
be able,
he
he
can
can make
move him
some
inside,
things
too.
happen. That's right.
You can move him inside a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. I think this is somebody that they're going to find. I think a lot of these guys too are you trying to find more special team players as well. Some guys that can come and help. Maybe on punt coverage, maybe on punt return. There's going to be some people that are going to be filling some voids that are out there as well. You just got to figure out where you fit in and then go from there.
Something else about this Luke Schoonmaker pick before we move on. The reason I kind of like the pick, I think the Cowboys, they want to run the football more. I think they're going to end up running a lot of 13 personnel next season. They ran some of it last year. Kansas City led the NFL in 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends. I think they're going to run a lot more of that next season.
Yeah.
It's going to be boring as hell to Cowboys fans. But they want to play
It's okay.
They want to play some bully ball.
Does that mean we win more than we lose? I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, you won 12 games.
Do we? But
wanna
we didn't win
in
the
division.
games.
Yeah, you want to get past the divisional
Yeah,
round. Honestly, wouldn't you take winning 10 games and getting past the divisional round?
100%.
You can take them other 2 wins.
Yes.
Most of them Cowboys fans are like, take them other 2
Take
wins.
them
I don't
other
care.
2. Yeah.
I just want to get past the division.
You
Even
gon-
as a wild card, whatever, it doesn't matter. Take the division.
You're going to put us in a wild card game anyway. So you go
Pretty much, yeah. Now it doesn't matter. It's a great point.
Just put us in there and let's roll with it.
Okay, so real quick, my biggest criticism of the Cowboys draft, and only got one, because they did get a wide receiver too. They're going to get them a Jalen at wide receiver for some reason.
Yeah, they love them
They're gonna make it work.
Jalen. Whether it's Tolbert
Yeah,
or
right?
now Brooks.
Exactly. I wish they would have gotten a running back prospect. I love Deuce Vaughn, love that pick.
Right.
But like I said about Deuce Vaughn, and this is not an insult at all, I don't think Deuce Vaughn can be kind of the main course of your running game. I don't think he can be that main course of running game. I do think he's more of a complementary piece. He's more of a side dish to your running game. And I don't think the Cowboys right now have a main course to their running game.
Yep.
I don't think that's Ronald Jones. I don't think it's Deuce Vaughn. I don't think it's who's the Malik Davis. Give me another one. Tony Pollard is it, but Tony Pollard is coming off an injury.
We're gonna.
So until Tony Pollard is fully healthy, and even by the way, Tony Pollard's own position coach admitted we don't want him to be the main course
Right.
running back. He
Can't
said
do
that.
it. Can't
he
do
said
it.
that. He said, no, we don't want him.
He's
to
not
carry
built like that.
Yes, he's like, he's not built to be a workhorse running back, to be a guy that carries the ball every down. We want him to be fresh in the fourth quarter so he can have explosive plays. If we line him up to be the workhorse running back, those explosive plays are going to depreciate. They're going to decrease. I guarantee you. It's going to depreciate his overall value. So I think they need a workhorse running back. Thought it would be Rojo. They passed on Rojo. They got to go out and get themselves one, because right now, all they got is side dishes, and you can't have a side dish be the main course running back. You need some protein, man. Some chicken fried steak, some pork chops. You need some. Right now, all they got is mashed potatoes and gravy.
And not expired meat.
And not expired meat. That's Zeke.
We're
not
having
expired Zeke.
expired meat. Have you seen the videos? I'm about to send y'all the videos so y'all can get off my boy Zeke. No, if I thought what Patrick said earlier about Derrick Henry, I think it's something to really think about. I think it's something to really, unless you have to eat so much money.
I don't know what he's paid now.
That's the other part
Well,
of it.
and it
I don't want
depends.
his contract to be where
His contract's not terrible for a running back.
Yeah.
The problem is, so now you don't have that as a leverage in negotiations for the pick either, because that's when you have to go to Tennessee and say, well, what do you really want for this? Because we don't want to give up much for it. We'd
Right.
like to give up a fourth for it, maybe.
I agree. You're right.
And
They
you
waited
still
too late.
have it though. I
They
mean, you
waited
still
too
have
late to
that.
address this.
And so if you do it before the draft, then Tennessee can go into the draft and get another running back and say, well, we're not playing with Derrick Henry this year. Let's go get another back. Let's go get our guy and prepare for the future. But now that you waited until after it's done, and now there's no other running backs for Tennessee to get. Now they go, well, if you wanted to get rid of him, now we don't have a running back all season.
Now we need to put a premium on it, on the draft pick.
So it becomes harder to make that trade now because you waited so long that you were in need that Tennessee holds the cards now and you don't have it. There's probably some other guys still out there that you can go that
trade for?
Well, that are free agents that you can go at least, hey, man, this guy can get us a few and patch us through. But that was the biggest problem I had with their draft was you did Deuce Vaughn's a great running back. He's not what you needed in that position. And I think Jerry signed Ronald Jones because he's a guy from Dallas, and he drafted Deuce Vaughn because his dad coaches there.
That's not why.
And no, and they're good players.
They're good players.
But the stories are there
Yeah.
to build in, which Jerry loves the stories. And at no point does he go, oh, I need my guy. This is the guy we need. And this is where you want Mike McCarthy to step up and go, hey, Jerry, let's go get a running back that we can use. And it seems like watching this draft, Dan Quinn was very aggressive of what he wanted.
And
I don't know that Mike McCarthy was as aggressive with what he wanted.
But I firmly believe, too, that, you're right about Mike McCarthy, but I think for sure Will McClay knows their board. He knows exactly what they have. I know he knows their personnel. And they may be looking at somebody else. It may not be a Derrick Henry.
They have to be looking at somebody right now.
They definitely are looking at something else.
They believe now, post-draft, this is the best running back room going forward, considering what Tony Pollard's status is.
And let's be clear. I think Deuce Vaughn, at where they got him, is a steal of a pick where they got him. That's not the question of where he is on your board. The problem is this is not – we have this.
Yeah.
We have this already.
You got a Kevontae Turpin and a Tony Pollard.
We don't need this again. And I get he's the best pick. And if we want to go best available, we need a running back. But not all running backs are created equal. This guy, he was a value pick, but it just doesn't address the problem. And for a guy who says we're gonna run the ball, we're gonna run the ball, you go with who?
With who exactly? What are you talking about?
Because here's the deal: they don't need a plunger because you can't run through the gaps right now.
Yep.
And when you're talking about any D lineman being able to stop them through the gaps, and you have to go outside every time, so they're going to load up on linebackers, which then hurts your pass game even more because they don't have to load up and stop the line because there's no one trying to barrel through and get 4 to 5 yards. It just makes defending you that much more one-dimensional.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they have a plan at running back because this can't be it. So
right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt to say they are a better organization than that. They have a plan at running back, which is why there was no urgency for them to address it in the draft. But I got to go back and just say kind of what Patrick addressed. You waited so late to address it. Deontay Foreman was out there. You had so many nice,
That's the one that I wanted the most.
Yes.
I mean, when you brought it up, I was like, that's the guy you need to go get.
There were just adequate options that would have given you
and
1
you
year.
wouldn't have had and you didn't have to pay him a lot of money. You would have been there.
He ended up getting like $3 million or something, like some pennies.
And that's the worries. My worry is that there is other plans, and one of them is Zeke. And I think
it's happening.
I think that is their big plan B is, we couldn't find anybody else. I guess we got to go back and get Zeke, you guys. And then their head, he's going to be better this year. So they're like, now we've got him. He's going to be better.
That's gonna be
Cowboys
a regression,
saying,
guys.
Watch this.
One step forward, 2 steps back. If y'all bring back Zeke,
I will Paulo Abdul all day if they bring back Zeke. Watch me.
That would not be good. All right, we come back. We'll take a break. We'll talk about the Longhorns on the other side, also that were drafted, but also I'll give you a little history lesson on the NFL draft. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge for my friends over at Quick Roofing. Texas has had some crazy weather in recent weeks, from the hail, high winds, and even some heavy rains. I know a lot of people are thinking, hey, man, I need to get my roof checked. Do yourself a favor and go to quickroofing.com today. Jeff Quick started Quick Roofing 39 years ago. The reason Quick Roofing can stay in business for that long is because they take care of their customers and they have a great reputation of customer service. Here are some of the reasons why you should use Quick Roofing. You get that free, no obligation, quick inspection. Quick Roofing has a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, are getting everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. With all that, you also get that 7-year workmanship warranty. So what are you waiting for? Reach out today and get a free inspection. That's all it is, folks. You go online, you schedule a free inspection, and that's all you get to know. That is what you need in your life. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for Rod's Rant of the Day. I want to get into the NFL draft just a little bit, a little quick history lesson about the NFL draft because, you know, the NFL draft now has become the marquee sports festival, if you will, in America. I always say that, you know, the NFL is America's #1 TV show. And now the NFL is getting, you know, prime time ratings off of their spinoffs and their sequels and their prequels of the, you know, top television show in America. I think 70%, over 70% of the top watched television programs or broadcast in America last year were NFL games. And now the draft has become kind of must-see primetime TV too. And it's actually for a lot of network executives, it's kind of mind-boggling in the day and age of, you know, obviously TikTok and our decreasing, shrinking attention spans, and yet we still love the NFL draft, which is essentially people reading off names and a bunch of conference calls. Like that's the gist of it. So the NFL draft, it basically became a broadcast thing in the 80s. But prior to that, the first 14 years, the NFL didn't have a draft. The NFL basically didn't have a draft. The best players would go to the best teams. That's just how it worked. Burt Bell of the Eagles owner, he was upset about the best teams always constantly going and out getting the best players, and he never having access to the best players. So he's the one that hypothesized a draft and essentially convinced the rest of the NFL owners and the commissioner to cultivate parity in the NFL. It was good for the NFL to have parity and not just have a bunch of teams that dominated the NFL and got all the top talent. So he pitched that idea. The NFL liked it, and they decided, all right, we're going to go with an NFL draft, try to bring more parity to the sport. The first round was held at the Ritz-Carlton in Philly because the Philadelphia Eagles owner, Burt Bell, was kind of putting this thing together. And that was in 1936. The picks were written on a chalkboard, and only 81 players were selected. Now it's like 260-something players that are selected. That year in 1936, the number one overall pick declined the opportunity to play in the NFL to become a salesman. His name was Jay Berwanger. He decided, nah, I want to play in the NFL. I'll be paid better this other job. I got better options than being the number one overall pick in the draft. But in 1980, ESPN comes along. ESPN needed partners. And of course, the draft was perfect for them. They were an all-sports network. They needed more sports. They originally pitched it to Pete Rozelle, and Pete Rozelle declined it because he was like, nobody's going to watch. Nobody's going to watch us read off names. That's stupid. They were persistent, all right, kept going after him, and eventually he decided, all right, I'll let you guys film the draft of me just reading names, even though he never thought it would be a huge deal. First televised draft in ESPN, they sent a crew of 5 people to the Sheraton Hotel in New York City, and then they set up one desk outside the bar room where all the owners were and the GMs were, and that was basically the first broadcast of the NFL draft, and ESPN's been broadcasting ever since. Now, the NFL Network also has their version of the broadcast. In 2014, the Radio City Music Hall, which was hosting the NFL draft for years, they probably regretted this, but they double booked one year and told the NFL, you got to have your draft a week late because we were booked a year ahead. And the NFL decided, you know what, we're going to experiment and take it on the road for a little while, see how that works out. We'll come back to you if we got a problem. The Radio City Music Hall definitely regrets that decision because since then, in 2014, the NFL has taken their draft on the road, and they have pretty much become one of the biggest festivals in America as a result. You can think about the biggest festivals in America. Most of them are music festivals. Coachella, is attended by like 200,000 people. South by Southwest, 400-something thousand people. Essence Festival is around 400,000 people usually. Hell, you can get election day, like carnivals and stuff like that. You get, like 400,000 people. For the NFL draft now, they're starting to get similar numbers. They're starting to get very similar numbers. The draft in Chicago in 2016, 225,000. 2017 in Philly, 250,000. 2018 in Dallas, 200,000. 600,000 in Nashville. Then you had COVID. Then you had Cleveland. Nobody wants to go to Cleveland, but it was 160K there. 300,000 in Las Vegas. 312,000 attended the draft in Kansas City. It'll be in Detroit in 2024, and we'll see how that works out. But now, you're talking about the NFL draft being bigger than most of the music festivals happening in this country. Like, that's how big the NFL draft has become. And by the way, they just started taking it on the road. It's been on the road in less than 10 years. The Kansas City taxpayers spent $3 million on temporary construction and infrastructure for the NFL draft, and they're going to make $100 million in economic impact, reportedly. So now cities are bidding and essentially going out of their way to compete for the NFL draft. It makes sense if you can bring that kind of economic impact to a community. If you go look at the viewership, now I think they were 11.2 million viewers for 2023, which is more than Daytona 500, Indy 500, World Series games 2 and 3, Stanley Cup final, Wimbledon, you name it. That's probably so. The NFL spinoff is still probably higher rated than most of the major team sports championship finale. That's how dominant the NFL is and how popular it is in America. It is the #1 TV show, and we can't get enough of it. Even
I love
watching
it.
somebody with conference calls and reading off names. Essentially, this is like their job fair, and it's become a big deal. This is them, like they've made what is essentially their administrative duties and tasks into primetime events. Right, their schedule.
I like
when they
that.
put out their schedule for their employees, we go crazy because we play the schedule game. When they have their annual job fair, which is kind of their, I don't know, I guess that you can kind of classify the draft as that, right? They're bringing in all the new prospects, all that stuff. We love it. Their interview process, which is the combine, we love it.
Yep.
We eat it up.
Like you said, I like the fact that you said it was the job fair. It's like you come in and everybody's at a table and it's like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? You know what I'm saying? You want to come over here and we're hiring, so let me see what you bring your resume over here.
It really is amazing, man.
That is pretty cool.
From what it's become.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the Longhorns who went out in the NFL draft. We can continue this conversation on the other side. But Bijan, first and foremost, going to Atlanta at number 8 overall. Like I said, I love the pick for Bijan. I think Bijan's going to be a superstar in this offense. For Atlanta, I don't know if I love the pick. He's going to be great in that offense. Arthur Smith is awesome, but I'm not sure if they're going to get ultimate value because they got to think about re-signing who's going to end up, in my opinion, becoming the best running back in the league. And then you want to sign him like he's the best running back in the league.
Correct.
So, and we know that's not usually a wise investment. But in terms of Bijan and his impact schematically being compatible with this offense, no offense in the NFL ran the ball more than Atlanta. The only team in the NFL to run on more than half of their plays. They ran more than Chicago, 48%. They ran more than San Fran. Nobody ran more than Atlanta.
That's amazing
On
too.
the rock.
Yeah, and that's a good place for him. You gave the name last week, a running back. You're like, do you know who that is? Well, he's the one that got the most carries for Atlanta last year, running the football. So it's amazing to me, and I think it's a great spot for Bijan. And I think he's the only player, and I saw this last night, only rookie that's in the top 20 in fantasy.
Oh, he's like number 5.
Yeah,
he's like number 3 or 5. You look at Pro Football Focus fantasy
Exactly.
rankings.
So
especially now that he's in Atlanta.
Yeah, for those
He's
numbers
gonna
that
play
you
probably
talked
higher.
about and where he passed, that the running back gets the ball, and you look at what Cordell Patterson was for them. Now they don't have to use Cordell Patterson at that position. They can still use him, but Bijan is the ultimate weapon. He can play wide receiver for you. He can come out of the backfield. He can do so many different things, and that's why when you brought up his name about being in Atlanta and you talked about those rushing numbers, that's a great number.
They ran the ball 49% of the time when they were trailing.
Yeah.
When they were playing from behind, they ran the ball 48% of the time. Guys, that is 5 percentage points higher than any other team. Nobody runs the ball that much when they're behind.
Exactly.
That is unbelievable. Remember I gave
That's
you
an
that stat?
oxymoron.
Well, yeah, exactly. They lost to Cincinnati in, I think it was week 7. They lost 35-17. They ran the ball 13 times.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they threw the ball just 13 times. They threw the ball just 13 times.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's the second fewest in a game that season, and they trailed by 2 scores the whole game. They were down by 18 in the fourth quarter, running the rock.
That's so funny.
That's what they believe in, so it is a great place for Bijan to go. All right, the second Longhorn that was taken, DeMarvio and Overshown, going to your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
Arch.
buddy.
That's not a surprise to us at all.
Nope.
We've been talking about it, and if you've kept up with any of the quotes from DeMarvio and Overshown, it wasn't a big surprise to him either. He had multiple meetings with the Cowboys, even going back to the combine, and he said when he met with Dan Quinn literally wrote up a plan as to how he was going to use DeMarvio and Overshown.
And you co-signed on it and was like, yeah.
Yeah, but he's
Sign
like, I
me up
love
for
it.
that.
And by the way, Overshown also admitted that one of the things that really attracted the Cowboys to him was his ability to rush off of the edge. Shout out to PK and shout out to Gary Patterson and shout out to Sark, because prior to those guys, they weren't using him on the edge as much. They weaponized him, put him on the edge. He had a 25% pressure rate last season. Last season, 2022, which was higher than any of the linebackers, those top linebackers that were taken in the first 2 rounds. He's a really natural pass rusher off the edge. The Cowboys, I think they got themselves a perfect fit for Dan Quinn's positionless football vision.
No doubt. No doubt. And you know what he brings to the table and the way he can flex. And I brought this up earlier. The way that he plays reminds me of Cam Chancellor. I was thinking that from the very beginning. I saw it when he was a freshman here, and they said, we're going to move you to linebacker. And he was very hesitant about it. He wasn't sure if that's what he wanted to do because of the fact, you know as well as I do, Rod, when you're being a free safety and you're able to move from sideline to sideline and be able to come downhill, that's a big difference for you. And the other part is, can he take on blockers? That's a big thing, too. As a free safety, you're not getting hit by a lot of people.
Agreed.
You're the one that's running around. You're not getting touched. Well, now as a linebacker, you're going to have to be touched by everybody. The offensive line is trying to get to the second level. That's why you need those big guys up front to keep them off of you. That's why Ray Lewis was so good, because he had Big Goose up in front. He could go sideline to sideline untouched. Same thing with Urlacher. So when you look at what Bijan has become, Bijan. When you see what Overshown has become, you start looking at him and say, all right, and if Dan Quinn, who we trust, who did have Cam Chancellor in his secondary, this is going to be a perfect fit. All he needed was the buy-in. That's all DeMarvion needed. He needed to buy in for it, and he bought into it, and now he's a third-round pick for the Dallas Cowboys.
I remember you making that Cam Chancellor comparison during the season, and now it's more apt than ever. I think you're around the money with that one. And I love that Dan Quinn's not going to try to turn DeMarvion Overshown into an every down in the box off-ball linebacker. Right? He understands that this guy – was a safety, and he's a kind of a spread baby. I call these guys, they're comfortable in space. I call them spread babies because they grew up in a spread era of football, and you don't want to just force him into taking on blocks, A gap to B gap. This is a guy that loves to run sideline to sideline. If he's a unicorn, don't saw off the horn, man. No. Sharpen that damn thing so you can use it as a weapon. That's what Dan Quinn does. Don't force a knife to be a spoon or a fork to be a spoon. Don't do that.
They make sporks for that.
They make, which is what he is.
That's exactly what he is. He's a sport.
Well done. I like that. I'm going to end it right there. Let's go to Ojimo. He was the next one. Let's go to Rojo. Rojo drafted in the 4th round by the Chicago Bears. The Bears, I love this pick, too, because the Bears run the ball a ton.
Yep.
They run the ball a ton. So I actually like this pick, too. And remember, essentially the Bears are running the Ravens offense.
Yes.
They stole the Ravens offense last season while they were doing research for their game against the Patriots, I believe it was. And then while they were doing research, they saw the Patriots game versus the Ravens and went, damn, Lamar Jackson actually has a lot of success for the Patriots. Can Justin Fields do that? And some smart guy went, yeah, he can do that. Let's just change the offense. Can we just run those plays? Run those plays. Smart men.
About time.
Right? And they did that. But the beauty of it is
copycat league.
Exactly. The Ravens run a lot of 2-back sets. And I've got Patrick brought it up too. Rojo would be more than willing to be a blocker. He did it here at Texas in the 2-back sets.
Exactly.
For Bijan. So I love that pick for Rojo, man. I really do.
I think it was perfect timing for him. It's a good spot for him. And the fact that he does have a Justin Fields that is there. The Bears are now trying to make their offense a lot better. They brought in more at the wide receiver position. Last year they went out and got the kid Claypool. They went and got him. And they like to run the football. Now you've got this different type of offense where you can run a veer and you can have a back like a Rojo that will bust somebody in the chest if they try to get in there, and he can get those short, tough yards for you. I'm excited for him. I know I was with Bears fans, 2 of them today, and they were all about that pick for Rojo.
Yeah, had a higher broken tackle rate than any back in the country the last 2 years, and more yards after contact per rush than even Bijan as a player. More Ojimo. Kendrick Coburn was drafted ahead of him. Sorry about that.
No, you knew where he wanted to be.
I know. I really want Ojimo to go higher. But 6th round, Kendrick Coburn drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a good pick. As I've said, everybody needs a Coburn these days. The truth is, teams are running more power and counter than ever before, averaging over 5 yards per rush on power and counter. They're only averaging over a little over 4 yards per rush on inside and outside zone. That's because teams have built their defenses to be a little bit more streamlined, right? They're sleeker, they're faster because teams are throwing the ball more. Teams are running more sideline to sideline with those outside zone schemes. Well, since defenses are now so finely tuned to defend the pass and defend the outside zone, sideline to sideline, now teams are running right at them. That's your powers. That's your counters. That's your gap schemes. You need a big body, double team taking, just a gap stuffing defensive lineman, wide body defensive lineman to be able to counter that. That's what Keondre Coburn is. So he's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
Team, yeah, he's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think he's got a good place where he can learn too. I mean, you look at what this defense is, and you talk about the plunger for a very long time, and how you always are going to need that plunger, especially in that division. That's a good pick for him. And again, when you get picked late like that, you got a chance to go to a team that is going to win. You're playing for the Chiefs. You're going to have an opportunity to play for quite some time. So that's a great pickup. Sometimes people are looking at, man, I'm mad I didn't go in the top 5. Man, sometimes you don't want to be in that top 5 because that's a lot that's expected on you for a team that's not very good. There's a reason why you're in there at the top 5. They're not very good, bro.
Yep. Ojimo drafted 7th round, 249th overall by the Eagles. Remember, Daniel Jeremiah, who's probably the most accurate mock drafting analyst this past year, and actually last 2 or 3 years, he had basically Moro Ojimo as his best 7th round value. He had him ranked 111th on his big board. He went 249th. So there's a really good chance that Moro Ojimo could be one of those guys that's a great value for the Eagles, like the rich get richer. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be learning from the best and the deepest defensive front and defensive line in the NFL right now. Sorry, Cowboys fans. All right, we come back. We'll dive into the rest of the draft for the Texans on the side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. U. We call him Dr. U, but it's Dr. Greg Eckert, and he and his wonderful team can handle anything that has to do with your dental health or hygiene. If you have any concerns about your dental health or hygiene, reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star team, whether it be general dentistry or teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his team are all about. So right now, it's a great chance for you to reach out. And even if you don't have any concerns about your dental health and hygiene, why don't you reach out before that becomes the case? Right now, my friend Dr. Greg Eckert can give you a brand new smile in just one day. We're talking about permanently secure to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures until you complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, call Dr. Greg Eckert today and learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. You got nothing to lose but everything to gain because it's a complimentary consultation. Give them a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166. Or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com.
This is ridiculous.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. We'll get to an update on Texas baseball coming up in the 6:30. Harge was not yelling about Texas baseball. It's about some other baseball team.
No.
It was about baseball, but just not about Texas baseball.
Yeah.
We'll get you an update on Texas baseball coming up. Smooth Soul Monday. Shout out to my man Patrick doing a great job to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans out there. But most NFL fans are in a really good mood because their team had a good draft, or at least most people believe their team had a good draft over the weekend. The Texans, a lot of people believe, may have won the draft potentially with their moves in the first round to get C.J. Stroud and to get Will Anderson with the number 3 overall pick, right behind C.J. Stroud at number 2 overall. Stan, who you had on for your Harge Knock Life, Harge, brought up an interesting point that I've heard now other people have brought up about the price tag of the trade because it was a lot the Texans gave up in order to move up in the draft to get the number 3 overall pick. And I heard Joe Cook said the same thing. He basically said what Stan said. So obviously it's a talking point that's out there that the Texans essentially did not trade up for Will Anderson. They traded up for C.J. Stroud, basically. That they had to draft C.J. Stroud, but then the trade up was really just to make sure they got both their defensive end and their quarterback, but they essentially, the C.J. Stroud move, basically think of it as a package.
Right.
They don't look at it as just them trading for that number 3 overall pick. Look at it as they traded all that draft capital and also had their number 2 overall pick. I just think that's a tomato thing is how you want to look at it. It's still a lot to give up for that number 3 overall pick. Unless, and I agree with this, you felt these are the 2 foundational pieces to build our organization around, and we have to make this move now, because if we don't make it now, then we're going to be in purgatory, essentially, for the recent future.
Yeah, and let's put it this way. It depends, too. If they come out next season and are still terrible, then they gave up a lot because they gave up a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
You know, if they're giving up their pick, then they're giving up something pretty heavy. Now, if they go out and have a great season.
What's great, 500?
Well, no, but I'm saying like you have a season where you're getting a 20, you're picked 20 or above.
Oh.
So if you're in that, you're the top.
That's top 10. Top 10, top 12.
Top 12 teams.
Wow.
If you're in that, well, then it's a great trade. Because now you gave up 12 and 20-something for number 3, which is not much.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what that pick becomes next season. Because if the pick is something really high, then yes, you gave up too much. They're playing on the odds that, look, we're going to try and win now because we don't know what that pick could be 7 for us next year, and we can't do anything with it then. And we can do something with it now because Arizona's betting on it being number 3 again.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think in retrospect, we won't know if it was too much until it probably won't even know after next season either.
No, and I think we'll know it too. Right. It's going to be, every year. The same way they peddle hope for the draft, there's always, man, next year's draft's going to be the one. And you're like, well, yeah, it could be. And then it also could edge out that it's at 20, there's 18 first-round grades. And there's some really good guys at the top, but there's only X amount of first-round grades.
True that.
So we don't know until we get through the next season because every year somebody has an amazing junior year and a terrible senior year, or an amazing sophomore year and a terrible junior year and still goes.
Yep.
Like that always happens, so we never know until we get to that class.
We should see return on that investment sooner on the defensive side, don't you think, with Will Anderson?
Yeah, because I think it's easier. That's easier plug and play.
Yes, agreed.
Then quarterback is it's going to take some time, but that's where you're hoping Bobby Slowick is able to put him into a system that Brock Purdy. I know he had weeks to get ready for it before he came in and played, but as a rookie was able to succeed in a system set up that he was able to handle.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that Texans do have better than the Cowboys. They have better running backs already than the Cowboys.
Hey, man, come on, dog.
I'm just saying.
Hey, guys, I'm sitting right here.
They got David Pierce. What's the kid from Buffalo? Singletary?
Singletary.
Those both right now will be better than what the Cowboys have.
They also ended up with the tight end. They also ended up with the tight end that the Cowboys wanted.
You mean Dalton Schultz?
Oh, they got a Cowboys wide receiver, too.
Oh, man, come on, man. Noah Brown. Y'all can have him. Y'all can have him.
No, I mean, you get Hutchinson now. You have Mechie coming back. You have Tank coming in.
The Tank Dell, I like the wide receiver picks.
But that's the thing is, that is a really exciting young wide receiver core in Houston now, too, because there is a lot of young. Because Mechie is
Listen to
basically a
Patrick
rookie
trying
this year
to
as
get
well.
everybody to buy back in too. He's back in. He's not stalking. They reunited it. It feels so good.
It is. No, I agree. The wide receiving core now has been upgraded tremendously over the offseason. Now with the draft included, because I think Xavier Hutchinson and Tank Dell will both make the
I
team.
love
We're
the
not
fact.
deep at wide receiver.
Yeah, and I
why would
love
you
the
wanna-
fact of Xavier Hutchinson. I think that was that.
I don't know why he was there that late.
Me neither. That's why I'm
He's
saying
slow.
like it's gonna be
he was slow.
Yeah,
His
but he
40
got
was slow.
hands.
But he got the.
I know.
He's got
yeah.
And he's
hands,
been
though.
productive everywhere he's gone.
I
He's
know.
productive in his JUCO. He became an all-conference player here in the Big 12 twice, I think. Was All-American this past year. Been productive everywhere he's gone.
Who do you trust on third down?
Nobody's Colin Johnson to me.
Yeah.
He's a smaller version of Colin Johnson. And Colin Johnson
like
was the
that.
same way.
I like
He did
him.
not. Was he drafted or not drafted? He was late if
he
he
was
was.
late,
He
yeah.
was late.
Yep.
But I said to myself, man, he's going to make a team.
Yeah.
If you've seen Colin Johnson play, you like, oh, that guy's going to make a team. I don't know if he's going to impress in a workout, but he's going to make a team. I feel the same way about Xavier Hutchinson.
I love
He's
it.
going to make that team.
Oh, for sure.
There ain't no doubt about it.
I'm a big fan.
No, I'm with you. I think that's one of my favorite picks by the Texans there. I like that pick.
I was even a bigger fan when he dropped that pass.
Yeah, and
against
honestly,
the
he should have been the
Longhorns.
reason that they beat Texas.
Exactly. I'm
And
glad
also,
he dropped that
he
pass.
dropped a wide open touchdown.
Touchdown.
And
Walk
then,
in.
And by the way, and then came back and started killing Texas on third down again.
Yes, he was like, get the ball back to me. Get the ball back to me. I owe you.
I kept telling Texas,
Yeah.
when are y'all just going to double Xavier Hutchinson because they not throwing to anybody else? He
Yes.
was their X-Man. Like, they were literally just going to force people to football. It's like, no,
Yes.
just double that guy. Take him away. They couldn't. Hunter
Man.
Deckers was dealing.
Yes, he was.
To Xavier Hutchinson.
The only one who played every single game, too.
He was dealing out there,
Yeah.
man. All right, there you go. We'll talk some more draft, of course. On the other side, we got to get into the NBA. So we'll review the games last night. Heat win game 1, Warriors win game 7. And we'll also, unfortunately, have to dive into what the hell happened to the Texas baseball team. All right, you better be doing some research over
I
there.
already know.
All right.
I
We'll break
watch
it down.
most of it.
When we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. It's my man Patrick playing jams intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who might have had a tough weekend. We had a great weekend because we're watching tons of great sports action between Game 7, the Warriors winning Game 7, beating the Sacramento Kings. Also, second round of NBA playoffs have also started up as well. And we know now our second round matchup between the Warriors and the Lakers is going to be epic. I hope it's epic. I hope it's not a letdown. I'm expecting it to be a great matchup, but we could end up with, a dud of a matchup too. I think it's going to be an epic one. They'll go 6 games at least. Yeah. They end up going 7. But we'll get into that NBA review of these Game 7 where Steph Curry scored 50 points and put the Warriors on his back to lead them to a big win. One thing we were talking a lot about in the break, we haven't talked a ton about it because we haven't had time to really examine the entire draft and all the teams who may have won and lost the draft. We'll get into that tomorrow, probably a little bit more in depth. Right now, we're just talking about the micro: Texas Longhorns, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans. Who in your opinion might have won the NFL draft? Do you think a team won it? You don't have to admit if that's the team.
I'm going to admit it. It's in my division. It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's the Eagles in your opinion?
By far.
Okay.
Just because of the moves that they made. And one person that we did not talk about was Keely Ringo. They got Keely Ringo, too.
Got the corner,
another Georgia player.
5.
You remember when they used to call the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks Longhorns North? Because Longhorns, you were one of them, ended up on those teams. That is what Philadelphia just decided to do for the Georgia Bulldogs. And this is what makes it even better. And I hate saying it. Just like those times when the Texas Longhorns were riding high and those players were going to the league, like yourself, getting to the league, Shawn Rogers, doing all that stuff, that's what this is happening. Y'all had great teams at the University of Texas. Georgia had an unbelievable defense for multiple years. Why not go get those guys? And the other part of it is, how many times have we always heard people say, man, just think if that Alabama team was playing one of the terrible teams in the NFL. They would go out there and battle them, and they would beat. No, they wouldn't. They would have got beat. But the fact of the matter is these guys got better each step of the way. And if you put those guys together defensively that can go and attack and hit people, this is going to be gold. And that's why I'm upset that the Cowboys didn't take a chance on Nolan Smith. That was a guy that was at the edge that you could have went and got at that time. I'm not mad at
the
Mozzie, but he was right there.
You would have preferred Nolan Smith over Mozzie Smith.
Yes.
Wrong Smith.
Wrong Smith. Just like the wrong Tyler last year.
I will throw out, I think this Pittsburgh Steelers had a low-key, not a lot of picks. I think they did really, really well for what they were doing to not basically be over-pot committed, not trying to trade back into this draft too much.
That's a good point.
But just have some guys follow them that are going to be good players. And I know we said with Darnell Washington that there is the red flags of the injury issues, but how far do you let a guy slide when you just go, hey, man, this guy may not make our roster anyway. Let's go take a tight end that could be something special to put up with Kenny Pickett. And then a shout-out to the Patriots for taking a kicker and a punter. Solid move, Patriots.
The 49ers
man, Bill Belichick. Someone needs to give him that Alzheimer's test.
What round did they take the punter kicker? Do you remember?
They took the kicker in the 4th and the punter in the 6th.
The 49ers took the kicker in the 3rd. I remember that because my mother-in-law was upset.
Well, and I saw
dropping F-bombs.
And I saw Kyle Shanahan talking to him. He's like, "Hey man, you must be pretty good if we're taking you this early." That's what he does.
I ain't gonna lie, because they only had that was their first pick was the 3rd round. I think their first pick was a kicker. I believe they never pick in the 1st and the 2nd. Yeah, I thought that was weird.
He was their 2nd pick.
The 2nd pick, okay, but they is out both in the 3rd round, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because they have all those.
They're like compensatory picks, and they have the Rooney Rule picks too.
Yup.
Yeah, Rooney Rule / compensatory picks.
So that was in all those picks.
They wouldn't have had anything if not for those.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But that was the Patriots in the 4th round took a kicker, in the 6th round took a punter.
Can I throw out another team,
that's
guys?
a special one.
That I think might have. If you look at the draft and then what they're adding to their team from the draft, the Seattle Sea Chickens, man. Them Seahawks, man. That's a damn good look. They got the cornerback,
They did get
Devon
the
Witherspoon from Illinois, supposed to be awesome.
He comes downhill and likes to
Then
hit.
Right? They got Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep.
But now in that offense, you got Njigba to team up with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Ooh.
That's dangerous.
What?
That's dangerous.
Wow. And they
You know
got
what I'm saying?
the running back. I always mispronounce his name. Is it Charbonnet?
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. Thank
His
you.
dad was my roommate.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Mark.
What? Break that
Yeah,
down. Break that down some more.
We were roommates when we played for Montreal Expos organization.
Wow.
We were in AA together.
That is so freaky.
Yeah, I sent him a text and told him congratulations.
Huh.
Yeah.
You never-
Remember, he was a Michigan guy. He originally went to Michigan and then he
Transferred?
transferred back to UCLA.
Wow.
Well, I say back because they're from California.
Okay.
So
Nice. Man, I told you Horace knows every damn thing.
And
Proves it all the time.
And let's go over to say, good job for Miami getting the fastest running back to add to all of their track stars.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just why Mike McDaniel wants to do it, man. They got the fastest team in the league and he keeps adding to it. Like they
Yep.
don't have the title already. He's like,
No doubt.
It's like, hey man, you're already the fastest. You don't have to keep adding to the speed demons that you already have. But yeah, Miami that's just a team that you just don't want to let them get behind you.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going. That's what he play. Basically, he wants you to play scared
That's
against
your
Miami
guy.
Dolphins. And I would play scared against them. I'd back my safeties up, corners y'all back up, man. We'll allow them to complete the underneath, but we can't have them just running over the top of us like that. And
Yep.
that's what they will threaten to do, no question. But we'll get into that tomorrow about some of the draft picks that we actually liked, some of the drafts overall that we liked aside from the Cowboys and the Texans. But yeah, I mean there was some teams that no question got better. I like what the Ravens actually did, strangely enough.
Yeah, well, it started because they got Lamar Jackson signed back.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm
They were
saying?
number
That
one.
day it was like, okay, let's go.
And then they got receivers.
And then they got receiver.
They
That's
got
right.
him. It was Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
The Boston receiver. I actually
Yep.
like Zay Flowers, so I'm a big fan of what he did. Yeah, they got Zay Flowers, and then they also got Trenton Simpson, the linebacker out of Clemson, third round. So I thought they had a decent draft too, but they went mostly defense. They got they got a guard too. They got a guard and a tackle in the 6th and the 7th round. We're talking about high level draft capital to spend on offensive players. They did it with the first round receiver, so I'll give them that. But after that, they pretty much went heavy defense. All right, so we'll get into some of the draft reviews and the draft grades from all around the NFL. We'll do that tomorrow when we have some time. Let's go back to the NBA, gentlemen. Talk about that Game 7 performance by Steph Curry. 50 points in Game 7. He had 10 in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter, 14 in the third quarter, and 16 points in the fourth quarter. He would not be denied. He played like a man possessed and did not wait on his teammates to join him. He decided that he was going to put that team on his shoulders. I'm sure his back hurts for a lot of reasons, but definitely because he was carrying the Golden State Warriors last night. But a hell of a performance, man. You're talking about the most points scored, a record for most points scored in a Game 7 with 50. He's also he ties, I think, Karl Malone for the most points scored in a playoff game by somebody 35 years or older, too.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to think that he's 35 years old, but he is. Made it even more impressive. Their defense was legit, too. They held Sacramento to 37% shooting from the field, 25% shooting from three-point range. So their defense did show up, but it was more about Steph and what he was able to do. He was a Category 5 force of nature.
Yeah, and that's why he was the player that's why he's the player that he is. When you start thinking about what Steph Curry and what he means to that organization, and remember, this was a guy that came into the league and everybody was like, well, how is he in the league? Like he got drafted because of his daddy. Oh, he got all this. Steph was lighting people up when he was at Davidson. Sometimes you got to take a different route before you can get to where you need to be. So when you see these types of guys and what he's created for himself, how he's become this type of player, MVP, putting a team on his back is something that we've all been talking about with him. And it was long overdue. He needs some help. Clay was supposed to help him. Clay was supposed to help him, and he did not help him. Jordan Poole got the bag and was supposed to be a part of the success story. They win the championship last year, and now all of a sudden Steph is trying to avoid the Giannis situation where you come in and you get into the championship and win, and then all of a sudden, like the Bucks had the best record and get bounced. Steph was like, I can't get bounced. I can't let these young Bucks come out here and pass me up. I love what De'Aaron Fox was able to do. Malik Monk showed a lot. You talked about Sabonis earlier, Patrick. But the thing about it was Steph was like, I cannot lose and relinquish this to these young cats.
No, and I mean, if you want to talk about Steph Curry, too, coming in the league, he had a few years at the beginning of his career where he was an okay player, but he wasn't the player he is now, not even close to it. And so there was questions of, is he a shooting guard? Is he a point guard? Are we going to keep him? And then he kept injuring his ankles over and over and over. And it got so bad that he would injure his ankles with no one around him, just like coming up the court. He would roll his ankles, and he went in to have a surgery, and it was like the third or fourth surgery he'd had in a few years on his ankles. And the doctor basically told him, like, look, we can't keep doing this. Because basically we're just having to retighten the tendon, and we're just stretching this tendon so tight, it's not going to work. He worked with a trainer who helped him learn how to move with his hips instead of his feet and start moving in a different way.
That's amazing.
And he had to do a lot of work to basically learn how to build back muscles, move in a whole different fashion. But that's how it started going to that. Then you add in Steve Kerr coming in as a coach and the system he's able to bring in, and all these pieces come together, and how he has to work so hard to rehab his injuries, kind of just working on shooting motion and things like that. All of it comes together, and he becomes the player he is now.
It's fascinating.
So when you watch all of that to happen, you see a guy who, what's crazy is early in his career, he wouldn't have been able to finish that series when it started to get physical. That was the problem, is he just wasn't healthy. He wasn't sturdy enough. He's worked really hard to put on enough muscle and get in shape enough that he's able to play those long minutes, and at his advanced age in basketball, still be able to go out there and put up 40 and play long minutes. And that's chasing De'Aaron Fox around as well. And then they knew to go after De'Aaron Fox, and they go, man, these young guys, they don't have the experience down yet to know when to step away and when to back off. And they got De'Aaron Fox in foul trouble. And if you're going to say Steph Curry's going to put up 50 and De'Aaron Fox going to have an off night and we're going to get him in foul trouble, it's a hard hill to climb for Sacramento.
That's the experience definitely showed for Golden State.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. And I think, honestly, Sacramento is going to be not back. They're going to be back into this into championship conversation. People thought they could make a run this year. This is their first time actually being, now considered to be a playoff contender. Where they break the record. They had the longest drought in major American team sports prior to the Jets now having, but prior to making the playoffs this year, they held that record. So this is their first time having to play at this level. All these really young guys, they have, you look at De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Huerta, Sabonis. All these guys are like 27 years old or younger. Keegan Murray. I mean, they're really young guys.
Yep.
So they got a nice core of guys they put together, and I'm not sure they thought they would be this good this quick. And so maybe they're ahead of schedule, too.
They are.
Right?
They just brought in Mike Brown.
You know what I'm saying? They thought they'd take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And Mike Brown, what he's done, I mean, like a guy like Trey Lyles is a perfect example. Trey Lyles has been around this league for a little bit, and he has always underperformed. He's always been that guy that you go, man, we see what he has, but he just can't consistently come out there and do it. And he was a big part of the series, especially when Sabonis started to get in foul trouble. And when he started to disappear, Trey Lyles kept him in some of these games. So when you see that and the coaching that Mike Brown has been able to do to get a guy like Trey Lyles to play up at that level, that's something really special, because it gets you Malik Monk playing better. It gets Keegan Murray to halfway through a series where he's basically non-existent in this series, and halfway through somehow it clicks for him and he starts to be able to make an impact. That's a lot of coaching right there, and I think Mike Brown has done a lot to get this team to where they're at, and the future looks bright from there.
Unanimous Coach of the Year.
He is unanimous.
And so everybody agreed with everything you said. But I was like, nah, man, this guy's done a phenomenal job. And we don't even have a discussion about any other coach because the Coach of the Year in everybody's eyes, unanimity, was Mike Brown. And, speaking of just guys who have stepped up and played at a really high level that I think is going to help Golden State in this series versus the Lakers, and he's got to have a big series versus Lakers, is Kevon Looney.
Yep.
Man, he's really stepped it up. He's doing some dirty work. I think he had 10 offensive rebounds in that last game 7. He had 21 total rebounds. I believe that's his second 20-rebound performance of this series. He had another 20-rebound performance earlier, didn't he?
Yeah, his last 5 games against the Kings, he's had 20, 14, 22, 13, and 21 rebounds.
Damn, he's had 3 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Man, he's got to play like that against the Lakers, though. He's going to be
He's got to go up against AD.
AD.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be
Yeah.
all that and more, because if he's not, they got no shot, because AD is playing at an extremely high level.
No, and I'll tell you, any GM any coach and any GM in the NBA, if you said, I'm going to get you a guy who wants to put up 20 rebounds and you don't have to pass him the ball, be like, what?
That's
I'm
a
gonna say,
great-
you got 2 of them? yeah.
Nah, you're right about
Y'all
that.
got 2 for 1s over there?
That's a great point. I never thought about that, because
Yeah.
he takes pride in it. He counts.
does.
I mean, his points are mostly putbacks.
Yeah, that's
Like,
all of
he's
his
not
points. They don't
really
run the
in-
ball through him.
No, and so
Yeah.
you're saying there's a guy who will play hard defense for you. He will hustle for everything and get all these rebounds, and he doesn't have to be part of the offense. That's really big for trying to find a team where you have so many guys that need to touch the ball in this offense.
And that's why it's great, because, you have guys that can score for you. You're not really worried about that. You actually need somebody like Kevon Looney going up against AD or going up against the Lakers, somebody who can protect the rim and also can go up against and bang with AD.
And that's the other part is when you do that, you allow Draymond Green to rotate onto some other players as well and not have to stay defensively onto AD. Whereas if you don't have a Looney playing good minutes, then Draymond Green has to sit on AD and try and knock him out of the game. Now, and then you have the point of you can have Draymond or Looney on him pretty much the entire game, because especially if they're going to keep bringing Draymond off the bench.
Yeah.
Now that is a 40 minutes of, hey, man, it doesn't matter who you got in there at power forward or center. We got a guy who can go in there and defend him.
My question for the Lakers in the series would be their role players. And they've been great in the playoffs, but I don't know if I trust their role players the deeper they get into the playoffs. The Warriors, honestly, Kevon Looney is kind of one of my big concerns. Like, how do you counter what AD brings to the table?
It's hard to do that. I don't think you're going to be able to.
Yeah, but exactly. Piecemealing it and kind of just throwing obviously different players at him. Kevon Looney, Patrick just brought up Draymond Green and Looney. That's kind of be part of the solution. I just think if Kevon Looney's having a bad series, you got no chance to match up with AD. He's playing his best basketball.
Yep.
That's going to give you a real advantage going into that matchup. I don't know about advantage. It'll give you a shot going into that matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, you really look, it's LeBron and Steph Curry, and then we go, all right, once we get past that, now it goes into, I mean, AD, is he going to show up in all these games? He's not consistent. Klay Thompson hasn't been consistent. Draymond hasn't been consistent as a scorer. He's been pretty good as a defender through these series. And I mean, we don't know Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. You can't rely on these guys to be 25-point scorers a game.
That's my worry.
Jordan Poole, you can't rely on him to be a scorer anymore.
No.
So you just look at this and go, who's going to show up? Is Wiggins going to be able to come in and play at a high level? Because he's a player that should be playing at that level.
Yep.
He needs to be for them to make a run at the title. I think the Warriors have more pieces that their floor is still better than what the Lakers' floor can be, because Rui Hachimura can have a 5-point game and Austin Reeves can have a 5-point game. And I don't think Klay Thompson, I think he had a bad game and he still had 16 or something. And Wiggins didn't have a great game. He had 17. I think your floor on the Warriors, Jordan Poole, all these guys, their floor is a little bit higher than the Lakers. So you're going to have to see if Austin Reeves and Hachimura and whoever else is coming off this bench for the Lakers can really step it up and play consistently for 5, 6, 7 games.
Well, the other part of it is too, what is AD going to do as far as being health? They sent a text right here, street clothes himself. I mean, like what is he going to be able to bring? So to offset what you were saying, if he goes down, then you just playing with Looney anyway. So you don't know who's going to be that other guy. Who do they even bring off the bench? Is this going to be the time where we see Tristan Thompson? I'm kidding.
Hey, we ain't seen Mo Bamba.
Yeah, and Mo Bamba hadn't been a part of it
not
either.
seen Mo Bamba at all.
He must not be picking up the offense good enough.
Yeah, I don't think he hasn't figured out how to fit in with AD and with LeBron. But I'll tell you this. I think California in the LA, San Francisco area is going to be sold out of ice, because the ice tubs are going to be going heavy for this series.
A lot of old men.
A lot of men after the
guys,
game.
man.
You're going to see a lot of limping after games.
Yeah.
No,
But
love
I think there's another deal, though. You're going to see this Warriors team see if they can run on the Lakers, because the Lakers can move, but they're not the most athletic team.
You saw that against the Memphis Grizzlies. They exposed that.
And they are going to try and run on this Lakers team and just try and wear them out so we get to the fourth quarter and it's LeBron and AD worn out versus Steph Curry, who we just know
he can go
he's
all day.
Energizing bunny.
Yep, he can go all day. No, it's a good. I can't wait for that series, man. It's a legacy series with both Steph and LeBron, and a lot on the line for them legacy-wise. We'll talk a lot about that, of course, as we get closer to that series. The Miami Heat did win Game 1. Jimmy Butler shows up. A shorthanded Knicks squad, though, and that series is going to be over with pretty quick, isn't it?
What about Jimmy?
What
is Jimmy gonna do?
That's not gonna last long. This Miami Heat Knicks series.
Man, the Knicks they gotta show up, man, because I got a wager out there. I need them to come on and show up. I need this to go a little bit longer.
Hey, Jimmy Butler is questionable pretty much right now for Game 2 after rolling his ankle late in Game 1.
And Joel Embiid is out tonight for the matchup, so that's a big one too.
Man, when you were watching Jimmy Butler at the end of that game, though, were you like, I don't know how much dog is in this guy, but it seems like more than his body can hold.
I agree. I think that is the case, no doubt. And
he is a beast, and he comes back and shoots the free throws. Like, well, he'll shoot the free throws and come out. He's like, no, he's gonna play.
Jimmy's gonna play.
And you know, he told Spoelstra, he's like,
play.
if you take me out, we're fighting.
You know why? Because Jimmy gonna do something.
Exactly. Jimmy meant that. He's like, no, we're gonna fight.
And we know what? I don't care if I'm a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. I'll still win.
No, Jimmy,
I love it.
You're right. Jimmy, I would say this postseason has really done a great thing for his legacy overall.
Yeah.
He's getting this street cred that I don't know if he had before. I'm not saying he wasn't deserving of it, but he's definitely getting more street cred this postseason than he's gotten in prior postseasons.
Oh, because everybody just watched him completely by himself will this team to a victory over a one seed.
Steph. You know?
Yeah, you're right, but
put it on your back.
Jimmy Butler was getting a lot more vitriol and angst from fans more than he was getting praise.
Yeah.
Now that it's flipped, he's getting way more praise than vitriol and angst.
And it's amazing when you beat Giannis and you beat the 1 seed and the best record, and you beat them in a series when you're the 8 seed. And everybody goes, oh, and Tyler Hero gets hurt.
That's true.
And you're still winning. Like, there's something to be said where you go, it's hard for me to talk too much trash right now, and it may run out and it may fizzle out, but it's been a hell of a run up to this point for him.
I know. I love that Jimmy Butler talks trash when he's behind.
Yeah.
Like, he can be losing, beginning of the game, he's talking trash. He don't talk trash when he's like up by 15 and figures, all right, now I'm safe. No, he's talking trash when he's down 8.
Right. He's still talking.
Still talking trash.
Yeah.
I love it. I love me some Jimmy Butler. All right, who doesn't? We'll come back. Texas baseball. Harge loves some Texas baseball. He's going to tell us what happened today. We will break it down.
I'll break it down with you.
Yes, sadly enough. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And like I said, as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you want to change in your career path, maybe you're frustrated with your work choices and you want something new and something fresh, how about a job with Ironworkers 482? Right now, you can accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Ironworkers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people. You heard me right, 3,000 people right now for a huge project. And right now, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local Union 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential today and be your best self by applying at ironworkers482.org. Just go to ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's some Patrick Place jams intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may have had a tough weekend. Well, Texas baseball was having a decent weekend until today.
It was still a good week. I would say it was better than good because they won 2 out of 3. So obviously that means that Texas,
good? Yeah.
you know, they were in third place, or tied for third place, just right out of the lead, and then they go out there and they perform not so well today. They used pretty much Johnny Holstaff. Tanner Witt, that's the good news. Tanner Witt was able to come back and get his first action of the season. It didn't go as planned. He was supposed to. They wanted him to go an inning, and he went 2/3 of an inning. He didn't get the third out. Gave up 3 runs. Texas jumped out to a 2-0 lead on another Garrett Gilmet home run, which he blasted out of the park. I mean, this guy's been on fire. He leads the team in home runs with 9. So This has been a good start for him coming in as a transfer. Then you also look at what the weekend gave you with Porter Brown being able to play against his old team. Yesterday's game, I know you heard it right here on the Horn. Craig Way was very emphatic with the double play to end the game with the fly ball to short left field, and he threw a laser home, threw him out by like 5 feet, so I don't even know what that dude was doing. But today was a tough day. A lot of guys got some action. They didn't pitch well. They didn't pitch well at all, and TCU scrapping, going after it. They were able to persevere, and they won 15-7. Not a good look. Shout out to Dylan Campbell, though. As I told you, he was going to get hot. He continued to stay hot, and he extended his hitting streak today to 23 games. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, Texas scored 7 runs.
Yeah, it was late.
It was late, probably
a
little too late for Texas to get any run support. But like you said, the pitching staff did not really hold their own as well. So TCU with a drubbing of the Texas Longhorns, 15-7.
Yeah, it was kind of tough to watch because I was watching it at lunch today, and I was like, okay, here we go. And then all of a sudden, lack of control in the zone and some things. They ended up giving up 19 hits today as well. Never good.
Yeah,
never
I'm trying
good.
to figure out when it got out of hand, but
it started in the third and the fourth inning. They gave up a 7 spot in the fourth inning. Yeah. So that's when it got loose. Because honestly, I got in my car to come to the studio. I pulled up and I looked at Patrick and I was like, what happened?
Yeah, you're right.
Like it happened that fast.
It did. I mean, basically, the third inning starts.
Yes.
And if you go basically, the end of like the second inning, I think they're down 3-2.
No, TCU's up 3-2. Texas was
Texas is down 3-2.
3-2. Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, it gets from basically the third and fourth inning. By the end of the fourth inning, they're down 12-2.
Yes. I walked in here and
13-2.
I walked in Patrick's office and I was like, what just happened?
So,
I was like, something happened that fast?
So 2 innings, basically, it got away from them.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But hey, it happens and it's part of it. But again, the beauty of it all is that they won 2 out of 3. They won the series. That was something that was very important because they didn't win the series last weekend, and we were having all kinds of conversations about what is expected of this baseball team and why is it happening this way and what's going on. So it's a lot to digest, but hey, you get to play again. You get to play again, and this weekend they're on the road.
Kansas?
I think they're at Kansas this weekend. Yeah.
You got Kansas Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Kansas. Kansas isn't very good.
No, they are not very good. But we can't underestimate anybody, so they got to go over there and handle their business. But here's the deal. There's no midweek game this week, so they're off the entire week. I believe finals are right now. I think finals start this week, so then they'll be ready to go, and they're on the road at Kansas. Then they come back home next Tuesday against UT Arlington, and then home against San Jose and home against West Virginia. They finished the season at home after this weekend. It's
crazy to think that the season's already starting to get toward the end of this. It's unbelievable. It went by fairly fast.
It did go by really, really fast.
Yeah.
And this is the last road trip.
Yeah, softball wraps up this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I remember the unfortunate start, the slow start for Texas, and a lot of people panicking, maybe freaking out, overreacting to that. Texas gets back to their winning ways, go on a win streak, kind of find their identity, and now I think just going through adversity.
Yep, that's exactly right. But now you should be able to smooth it out.
Yeah,
now you're supposed to be who you are.
No, I agree. I'm saying now that you found your identity, you know who you are. You should be able to face that adversity and find solutions and ways to overcome it as a team. And it's going to look different every time. Sometimes it'll be the pitching staff. Sometimes your bat's going to bail you out. You know, it just depends on the situation, on the matchup. And I think that's what Longhorn fans are expecting from this team. Like you said, they won the series. Just a very unfortunate end to that series with a demonstrative beat down.
Yeah, it was
from
not very
TCU.
good. Here's one of the things too, and one of the coaches that used to coach in college, he hit us up on the Specs text line, and I agree with this. I think we try to throw. For me, I think we should be able to throw more fastballs. You should throw more fastballs. I think you could pitch better off of the fastball. And I told you this all the time. There are times when I can go up to the plate and look for a fastball and roll it over to the shortstop. There are times I can get a fastball and I'll pop it up. I think sometimes Texas pitching, and it happens a lot all over the place, you try to be too fine with your pitching and not trust your fastball. Yeah, trying to do a little too much, throwing a lot of breaking balls. And when you're struggling to find your breaking ball, you should be able to rely on your fastball, and sometimes they don't pitch enough off of the fastball. I've been very, very frustrated with a lot of breaking balls and a lot of off speed. Sometimes just go after people. We get ourselves out. We're not that smart at the plate. Be
aggressive.
Yeah.
Be like Sark with the deep ball.
Exactly.
Just keep throwing.
Just keep throwing it. You know what I'm saying? Keep throwing them. Keep throwing them breaking balls and stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
Just
keep doing it, man. I believe in it, bro. I believe in it.
It'll work out sooner or later. All right, that's good stuff there. All right, so Harge, later on this week, they will start up their series versus Kansas Friday.
On the road.
All right, so Longhorn baseball with a little bit of a break. We'll take a break.
And I want to give a shout out real quick to Texas tennis. They've earned the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA championships. It just got announced just a little while ago. They'll be hosting UTSA, Pepperdine, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi starting this weekend at the Texas Tennis Center.
Is that women or men?
That's men.
Men.
Yeah,
okay.
And the women got the number 8 overall seed.
Okay.
So a lot is
Our
going to be
tennis teams are pretty badass.
They are
actually.
pretty badass.
Yeah.
No, 100%. That's the best way I could have summed it up right there.
I mean, they're always in it. They're always in that championship conversation. I just hear the updates most of the time, but I hear those updates all the time.
And the women got like I said, the number 8 national seed, and they'll be hosting the first and second rounds as well. So we got tennis all weekend. They start on Friday and Saturday, and the men go Friday and Saturday.
I bet Hart is going to be out there one of those
if my kids
matches.
I got to check on what my kids got going on, but there might be a possibility that your boy is peeking over the windows. Pow.
Have you ever played tennis?
Yeah, I did, and I was not very good at it.
I was terrible at it.
My hand-eye coordination was good, but it was just the fact that return. If you're playing against somebody that's really good at tennis, it's not fun.
Though, I mean, honestly, the balls come at you and they have some English on them.
It's a lot of spin on that thing.
Yeah, man, they bend.
Yeah, like Beckham.
No,
they do.
I know I played tennis in high school.
You
did. It's tough.
Nah, it's easy.
It's easy because the guy that played tennis.
That's because you played it.
There's a lot of running.
It is a lot of running.
There's a lot of running.
And also,
it is more
side to side.
Your hand-eye coordination has to be on point as you are running and sprinting from side to side.
Yeah, there's a lot of decision making to be made and placement. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
It was brutal. I was like, you know what? I got all the physical skills to be a great tennis player. No, I tried it. I
play baseball. I can do this.
No,
I'm good.
No, I got hit with the ball like a couple of times.
Stung too.
Like, missed it. Pow, hit you in the shoulder.
Yeah, stung.
My pride more than anything.
That's what really stung.
Like, did you get hit by the tennis ball? I was like, I need to go. I need to leave.
I'll tell you what's worse.
I need to leave.
At one point, someone swinging for the same racket we're playing, and I pulled my racket back real quick and hit myself in the eye and cut myself like how a wrestler does. And so blood's pouring down my face.
As a tennis player?
It didn't hurt at all either. That's the thing is it didn't really hurt. And I was like, oh, I guess I go to the trainer. And I'm walking over to the trainer and I go to the coach and I'm like, hey, can I go to the trainer? Like, yeah. And I go up, and as I'm going, a car screeches to a stop in front of me, and I see myself in the window, and it's like dripping off my chin all down my face. And they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Oh, that is fantastic. How old are you then? Because this is
16.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
actually disturbing. So you're like, something happened to this kid. What's
Yeah.
wrong with it? He's walking like a zombie through the parking lot, bleeding profusely. Oh, that's good stuff. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Put any of it right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful down the horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the podcast page. Before we get out of here, we'll let you know what's on tap. Okay, before we get out of here, I also have a question for Patrick because I found out something new about Patrick all the time. I found out today he was on the tennis team in high school. And you didn't hear this, Harge. I think you were like out that day you were playing golf for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Patrick also revealed that he has been hang gliding through the Alps. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
What?
hang gliding through the Swiss Alps. Yes.
I swear. They
Say
did.
what?
Yeah. Told you. As a teenager, probably when he was playing on the tennis
No,
team.
this is after. Because this is after I graduated.
Probably when he was playing on the tennis.
That's when I
You
graduated.
guys lived a whole other life.
Yeah.
He went
Say
paragliding through the Swiss
what?
Alps.
Okay, through the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Where you went?
Yeah. No, there was another guy.
He was strapped to another
strapped to
human.
another human
Okay.
being.
He
still
Another
did
dude
it, though.
did it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
did
That's
it,
still, yeah, that's like, man, what if he gets mad at you and just let you go, dog?
You're trusting another human being.
You're trusting
I
I wasn't
Oh,
going to
no,
say
no,
anything
no, no.
offensive while I was up there.
Hey,
You know
man.
what, man?
Hey, I'm sure you had to sign a waiver, too.
Oh, I'm sure I did.
So he could have dropped you technically and just like it's an accident. The guy died. He signed a waiver. Yeah.
Well, first off, what in the wide world of sports made you even think about doing that? Why?
I was in Europe after I graduated, and then they were like, "Hey, there's this thing you can sign up for, and it wasn't that expensive." And they just drive you up this mountain for like an hour, 2 hours, and then you run off the side of it and you fly down.
Run off the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And tell them what they would tell you as you are running. Sometimes they would tell you like to hold up.
So you're running, and so if you go run down, it opens up, you picks you up, and you don't run off the edge. It picks you up and you fly off, right? But if you're running down and the cables get tied up, then they're like stop. And when we say stop, like fall on your butt, stop.
Yeah, because if you keep going,
there's an
might
edge.
fly off the edge or get carried off the edge by a thing, and then it
See,
gets
there's too
tangled
many
up.
rules for this.
Yeah.
Number one.
So
Number
mine-
one rule is I ain't doing it.
No, so mine did. I had to have to stop. I'd have to.
You did
Yeah.
one time?
Yeah, we were running. They're like, stop, and I stopped.
Yeah,
I
I would have already took it all off right there. I
Exactly.
took it all
we
off.
done on that one?
First stop. Hey, I was here. I was here. First
I was
stop.
ready. I was ready. You said stop because
And I was
something went
like,
wrong.
then
I'm
all
good.
of a sudden, my emotions took the best of me, and I couldn't do it no more. That's exactly what would happen.
I find out something new about Patrick all
Wow.
the time. Paragliding through the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Told you.
I'm not that dude, man.
He was a different person before we met Patrick.
I'm
You lived a
30.
different
I
life,
turned,
different
man.
life before
I
you
turned
met him.
39 this month. I did a lot of things in my when I was young and just didn't care. It was fun, man. I worked for a rock band for 5 years.
I know.
Like I just
You
had
was a
fun.
mailman?
That seems like a lot better than trying to go through the Swiss Alps on somebody
Oh, it's
else's
beautiful.
back.
It's beautiful. No, he's on my back.
Yeah.
I
he
was
was
in front.
strapped to another
Oh,
man.
okay.
Yeah, he's
that
on my
makes it
back.
He had
better.
another man caressing him
Yeah.
as they flew romantically through the Swiss
I was
Alps.
going to say, were you the same way on the motorcycle?
Hey, don't worry. If I ever do that, I will definitely have another man or woman strapped to my back as well.
Not gonna do it. I ain't built like that, bro.
What's on tap for you tonight?
I'm gonna watch some of this basketball right here and try to figure out are they gonna be and try to figure out what James Harden was wearing. That's what's gonna be it's Met Gala night.
Oh, Lord.
And that's what I was thinking. He was preparing for the Met Gala.
If he's going to wear it to the strip club.
Probably because he got in trouble earlier this week. He was out the night before the playoffs.
All right, Patrick, what you got on tap, brother?
NBA playoffs. Also, Astros are on FS1 tonight. So if you don't normally get to watch
Oh,
Astros,
yeah,
they're
there
on
you go.
FS1 tonight. Playing the
Nice.
Giants.
I like that. I'm watching NBA tonight as well. Also, my favorite show, Secession. Got to watch that tonight as well. Remember, Revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. More importantly, take care of each other. Peace.
Soccer matters.
Yeah.